Special bundles with premium membership from Chess24. Super discounts on merchandise. Massive sales on courses from Chessable. Chessable and Chess24 bundles. With new deals appearing every day. Visit chess24.com/deals.
E5, it's E5 Patzers.
A complete repertoire against 1e4 based on 1e5, now available to study with Chessable's unique Move Trainer technology. The backbone is the Marshall Gambit against the Spanish, with 3 Knight f6 against the Italian. Jan Gustafsson has revisited all these lines he has played for 20 years and worked on as a second for Peter Lecco and Magnus Carlsen, amongst others, with the help of the most powerful engines out there, Leela 0 and Stockfish 10. This has led to many new discoveries and a repertoire ready to master on Chessable that can serve the student for a long chess career.
Maybe E4 doesn't exist after all.
E5, it's E5 Patzers.
And queen takes f3. Oh, what is going on? Oh, this is going to be a fortress. I just don't see any hopes at all. This is very easy. Just rook back and forth.
Taking chess to the next level.
Wow. Wow.
Wow, yeah. Nothing else to say. Wow.
Creating the future of the sport. Introducing the Champions Chess Tour. 10 months, 10 tournaments. The world's best players, online and on TV.
Well, we wanted to do a historical top 50 of chess players of sort of all time, and to do that, we are using the statistics by Jeff Sonax, who has created a site called Chess Metrics. We've gotten some help from Frank Hoffmeister, who is a well-renowned chess historian, but then we have still kind of added our own touch. And it's always going to be subjective, and there's no correct answer.
I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you agree with every single ranking, because usually when you publish lists, what could go wrong? Who would disagree with anything? But yeah, it's been fun, and I hope you like it.
It's time to take control of your journey towards chess mastery. Magnus Carlsen introduces Chessable, the definitive solution for studying chess. Move Trainer uses the science of spaced repetition to identify your strengths and eliminate your weaknesses. There's no need to set up a board, remember which page you're on, or keep track of all the moves you miss. Move Trainer empowers you to go from the opening to the end game with confidence. It's a seamless, effective, and fun way to study chess. Choose from one of the largest online chess libraries in the world, with hundreds of titles ranging from classic books through to our exclusive Chessable courses, including over 100 free courses. Get expert insights from International Master John Bartholomew, Grandmaster Sam Shankland, International Master Krzysztof Sielecki, Grandmaster Simon Williams, World Champion Magnus Carlsen, and hundreds of other instructors. Get started now and join our growing community of over 100,000 chess enthusiasts at chessable.com. Chessable, take control of your journey towards chess mastery.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our coverage of the very exciting match between Fabiano Caruana, the world number 2 in classical chess, and Jan-Krzysztof Duda, the Polish number 1, one of the very best in the world, surely in rapid and blitz chess. And the match that we are about to witness is a blitz match. It is the chess.com Speed Chess Championship. 90 minutes of 5-minute games, 60 minutes of 3-minute games, 30 minutes of 1-minute games. And who better, other than maybe a handful, 10, 20 people, than Peter Svidler, the 8-time Russian champion, to join us today and explain all the action and make sure this show stays on track. No shenanigans, no talking about nonsense. Strictly chess. Peter, how are you feeling?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the plan for today. Not a single second will be wasted talking about anything but the position on the board because, well, that's what we do. Feeling better. Happy to be back in the saddle. Haha. This really should be exciting because were this to be a classical match, you would think Fabi is a large favorite, but Jan-Krzysztof has recently been on blistering form, specifically in this format, considering the players he beat to qualify for it, because the absolute demolition job he performed on Sergei Karyakin in the finals of the qualifiers was, something to behold. Sergei Karyakin has been a fixture in these tournaments in previous years and got to the finals, I think, quite comfortably, and then was basically just swept away by the Polish Dynamo.
That's very impressive. I still believe in Fabiano Caruana, but with Fabi, you never know which Fabi is going to show up in these blitz matches. In classical chess, you pretty much always know. This is the second strongest player in the world, sometimes the strongest he can compete with Magnus Carlsen on even terms in classical chess often. But in blitz, in rapid, it's been less steady. He's shown us many a time that he can compete with anybody. Had a very close match against Magnus Carlsen recently in whatever that event. I'm blanking on the name. Clutch Chess, I think it was called. Clutch Chess.
Yeah.
He has defeated the likes of Hikaru Nakamura and so on and so forth. But he's more up and down. If we look at the blitz chess rankings, Fabi is what? Number 39 in the world with 2.710, something like that. Well, Jan-Krzysztof Duda is a solid 2.799, which makes him, I think, number 6 in the world. So it's not clear who the favorite is today. And what could be more exciting than a match where we don't know in advance who's going to win?
Yeah, those are the best matches. When the winner hasn't really been announced in advance, we are very much in favor of that. Jokes aside, I think we're not just peddling some story to artificially inflate the interest of the watching public. I think it should be very close. I suspect if it's still close going into the bullet, we should start favoring Jan-Krzysztof, but even that is not necessarily true. But my feeling is Fabi himself will probably feel that he needs a significant buffer before the bullet portion to feel safe. And
the usual disclaimer at this point that they get 1 second added per move, even in the bullet, so it's never a super fast time control. But I do agree with the notion.
That is
the less
fair,
time,
and
the better for Jan-Krzysztof.
Those ratings you quoted, they are the FIDE Blitz ratings, but what I mean is over-the-board Blitz and online Blitz are frankly two very different beasts, but perhaps one of the, if not the breakout event that made Jan-Krzysztof's name for him to a large degree, I think, was the World Blitz in St. Petersburg in 2018, where Magnus scored like a gazillion points. and only won that tournament by half a point ahead of Jan-Krzysztof, which was a race to behold. You don't see people staying with Magnus when he is on such blistering form, and we do have moves, so let's.
The question if Caruana is taking this seriously or not has been answered by his very first move with a resounding no. He's playing the French defense. And
why'd you do this to me when I'm trying to drink? Yeah, it's interesting, and of course, there is a lot of immediate options for Anish Giri related hilarity here. Whether the resurgence of the French is now directly attributable rather to the fact that Anish has recorded his groundbreaking series on the French for Chessable. But I must admit I haven't really seen Fabi do this very much. I'm sure he's played a French or two in his life. Most people have played most openings at least once, but it's not a choice I would have guessed.
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, he can play anything, and so on and so forth. Let's have a look how this develops. Maybe it's a specially crafted choice for Mr. Duda. Maybe Fabi and his coach, Rustam Kazimchanov, they spotted a chink in Jan-Krzysztof Duda's armor in the French. We don't know. As for the position, I have to admit I'm not a big expert on the subtleties of the move orders here. But both players are playing quickly. Jan-Krzysztof taking his time now after queen to p6. He's been resisting d takes c5. I guess a3 normally is a hint that you don't want to go dc anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I think bishop e2 is, at least to my eyes, it's a slightly rare move. I think they normally try to develop it on to d3 and go from there. But clearly, most moves in this position will have been tried by players by this point. I'm not. Yeah, I don't know how a3 how well a3 works together in conjunction with.
No, it does take, which undermines my previous point, but it looks somewhat illogical in combination with stuff now. Knight e4 is already looming.
Yeah, it's already playable here. d5, d4, I think, is playable here. I don't know if it's any good because White will play like knight d1, knight f2 probably, and knight d1, knight f2 is something that White often does anyway. So I don't know if forcing Jan-Krzysztof to make those moves is all that great.
Yeah, Fabi says I'm worried about nothing, goes bishop b7, but now bishop d3, White somewhat stabilizes. That feels like a slow move by Mr. Caruana.
Yeah, depending, of course, on whether there is some tactical way to get something for black here. Sometimes you can take on d3 and go for some play on the queen side with, I don't know, e5 and b4. But then White could very seriously start thinking about going f5, f6 in some positions and trying to launch an attack on the king side. It's a strange position, but I mean, for me, most French positions are extremely strange. I don't really understand this opening. Have never really understood this opening.
Which opening do you understand?
Yeah, it's a matter of degrees, but like French is one of the openings where I really feel lost. I remember in the years when I would play Alexander Morozevich like multiple times a year. It at some point became a real issue because he was definitely somebody who understood the opening extremely well, and I felt like I was fighting on a very uneven terrain against him. Rook d8, queen f2 in particular, this is kind of weird. Yeah, I think h6 was called for because bishop takes h7 check was very much hanging in the air there. It's very easy to just get straight up mated when you allow things like that, and of course Fabi doesn't. Now White has the option of playing b4 and playing maybe a slightly better endgame, but probably not a lot is there for him if he does that. He probably is looking for something more ambitious.
Looks great.
Yeah, takes
those queens b4 played.
Yeah, or maybe even
after knight d7, of course, he could legally move his queen to the king side.
Yeah, you could also go queen g3 or queen h4. You could go knight e2 here, not developing the knight from d7 to b6.
Queen h4.
Yeah.
Duda means business.
I think that's very much in keeping with how he likes to play chess. If you give white like a couple of tempi here to play rook a1 and f5, you do feel like black just gets straight up mated. Yeah, it feels like bishop b7 followed by rook d8 felt a little bit slow. Yeah. I don't like black's position now.
That's also, it feels like it shows that Caruana might not play the French every game of his life. This bishop b7, rook a8. I have a feeling those guys that bleed French, they would do something more direct here.
I would think so, yeah, I would agree with that. This really is a worrying position for black because all these pieces that have been amassed on the queen side now, they really aren't participating in the game very much. And yeah, if white actually launches a direct attack in a position like this, it very often succeeds. I'm wondering if you're already supposed to play something like f5, but that's just such a miserable choice. But I don't know what to suggest. Where are these pieces going now? What are you even trying to do here? You go
Knight f6, same.
The reason I was suggesting f5 was now you have to now consider things like queen h3 and queen g4 now. But I guess he is not that worried. He can play f5 then.
It's the old trick. You only go one square, hoping they don't take, and then you go f5 when they can no longer take en passant.
Yeah. Something like this. And playing g4 will be, with the bishop on b7, would be difficult in those types of positions. So yeah, Jan-Krzysztof just takes on f6, and he can play rook a1 here. And black's position still remains very, very dangerous. Yeah, f5 might even be playable immediately, but I would start with rook e1 if I could, because bringing that last piece into the game feels like a very logical decision here. Paspon says Giri recommends the winner were in the course already. But I was mainly joking when I suggested that the choice was influenced by Anish's course there.
There was humor. Rook a1 played, f5 looming.
Only really recognizable as humor because I said it was a joke, because it clearly wasn't funny in any way, but because I have now identified it as a joke.
I spent most of the day on Twitter explaining my own hilarious wordplay jokes, so I know how it feels.
Yeah. It still looks very dangerous for black. I mean, now that the pawn on e5 has been traded off and there's a rook on f6, which does something to defend the black king side, it's slightly less scary, but yeah. It feels like you might have to play something like knight f8, because if you do allow f5 in this position, your position might just completely collapse. And you like knight f8 does a twofold job. It overprotects the pawn on e6 and also protects the pawn on d5, so that you can meet f5 with ef, which you currently cannot.
Isn't that very passive though?
It's extremely passive, but I'm very worried. Yeah, I'm very worried about losing by force here. Is why I'm suggesting. That's very interesting, because I thought f5 was just winning. Yeah, I'm just curious how he's planning to reply to f5 here. Okay, so he goes f5 and now 98, which is also kind of passive, but at least if it doesn't lose on the spot, it forces some trades. I didn't see 98. I thought f5 was kind of crushing. It might still be crushing, but yeah, 98 is a good resource defensive maneuver here.
Focus, Peter. This is an important match. We can't afford just missing moves left and right.
We'll attempt to focus.
Humor.
Yes. Hilarity ensues. ef5 might not be a huge threat. We could maybe afford allowing ef5, but I don't know which move to make. Like I couldn't find a good waiting move, so he takes. Goes queen g4. Is there a threat? Not particularly, right? Black also doesn't really want to do anything. g4, knight e4 would be a huge mistake, so the bishop on b7 is still kind of passive, but how does white improve his position? I suspect he just spends a tempo on something like h3 here, just to make sure that he doesn't have to think about the back rank ever again.
It's just a sad situation for black. No, he goes knight d1.
Yeah, but that does allow
d4, to be a mistake.
Though. Yeah, that does allow d4, which I think you should be jumping at the opportunity to play d4 in this position. And thanks very much for the sub, Galagad, and welcome to the channel.
Welcome, Galagad. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any complaints, please address them at Mr. Dolce or Jake Loans?
Correct procedure. Yeah, 91 seemed a little bit slow, and now Fabi seems to be in the ascendance. I don't know if black is already better, but he gets to play d5, d4, which is like a huge big deal considering how passive that bishop on b7 had been for the vast majority. And now 95, it looks like black might be winning after 95 now, or it's much better.
There's a question. If we believe that one of these players has a great chance of winning the entire event, if no,
rook g4 winning,
what could
probably
they change?
yeah, rook g4.
Game over. We should show the line queen e5, how it led to checkmate, but the action's fast, furious, and Caruana has now picked up a queen. Goes for the not very subtle threat of queen a3 check.
Yeah, and also queen c1 and queen c2. So yeah, the game is now over. That's very nicely played from Fabi. Starting with that rook g8 knight d8 maneuver, which he probably was still worse after it, but it felt to me like the game kind of turned on.
Flipped it.
Yeah.
Flipped it for real. And next game already coming at us. Caruana with the white pieces, playing a solid but very respectable line. 3 bishop b5 check against the knight of Sicilian. And now we will get a type of Marozzi structure. These positions have proved to be not so simple for black, which is why a lot of the world's best players have started playing knight d7 instead of bishop d7 in this position.
I kind of trust your opinions on these things quite a bit, but do you think, like, what do you think played the larger role of the two? Because for me, it always felt that people play knight d7 to, you know, quote unquote, have a bigger chance of an unclear position you can actually occasionally win. But also, they sort of stopped equalizing by forcing these positions. So which one do you think was more relevant there?
Say chicken egg situation. If there's easy equality in these lines, I don't think people would have started looking at knight d7. But since they did, they might have found that it also leads to maybe somewhat more winning chances. But I believe nowadays the main thing in opening choices is still what do computers like? What works better? And it seems like there's been a bit of a shift.
Since this is a 5-minute game, we can actually stop and talk about something for a second. One move ago after knight d2, can you explain to me why queen e6 isn't winning a pawn? I'm confused. Why isn't this winning a pawn?
So far, this looks standard, but knight d2 combined with bishop e3 seems somewhat slow, and queen e6 is a well-known theme.
Yeah, Duda actually paused here before playing queen d8, and I'm really curious what was wrong with queen e6. It does look like
maybe it's a trap, but I don't see it either. This move we've seen in games like The World versus Garry Kasparov, so it's a well-known double attack.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very thematic, and in this position in particular, it did seem quite strong. And now we get a very typical position, which I still feel like it should be fine for black. But people have been trying to prove that it's not immediately equal in many cases.
Yep. My name is Legion, saying, isn't this line busted because of Ivanchuk's idea? F3, castles, rook c8, b3, d5.
Yeah, but this is why they don't play f3 anymore. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
They have found a way not to allow that forced draw. The line was considered to be just a forced draw at some point because they found this particular tactic, which my name is Legion correctly points out. But I think they found a workaround. Not really having played this line with either color, I would hesitate to explain exactly what the workaround is, but I know it exists.
Yeah, let's stick with this note the time for.
Yeah, this not being a classical tournament, we probably shouldn't really go down too many rabbit holes where
mainly because
theory is concerned,
but also because the action is so fast paced.
Yeah, what do we think about this? Like, black definitely made a lot of progress on the queen side, but also the pawn on b4 sometimes becomes a weakness later. I'm not sure about 97. I was looking
We've seen very similar stuff recently. Yeah? Maybe not this exact position, but all of this. The vibe feels very familiar.
So white obviously wants to double on the C file. The knight from F4 goes, I think, more likely to D3 than to D5 because it can be quite easily driven away from D5. And on D3, it does a good job of putting additional pressure on the C4 pawn and also stopping knight C5, which I think why Duda plays knight C5 before the knight actually got to D3. I think that's quite useful.
Knight C5 played by Mr. Duda. Do you know that Duda means doubt in Spanish?
I was not aware of that, no.
It's true. Did you know that the Polish president is also called Duda?
I feel I should know that, but I'm going to pretend I do, and let's just go with this. Yeah, of course I do that.
Those are all the Duda facts I have.
I keep very much abreast of the current geopolitical developments.
The chat is pointing out that Mr. Svidler currently resides in St. Petersburg, which is sometimes called the Venice of the North.
It is indeed called that, yes. The climate could do with being more like the Venetian climate. I wouldn't really mind it being warm and sunny, and the beaches being a bit sandier than they are.
I've never been to Venice. E6 plate. So it looks a little loose, no? Maybe we don't take directly, giving up this pretty bishop. Feels a bit much, but some knight D3, isn't this?
Yeah, I think we pretty much never take on C5. That just doesn't feel, even if it wins the pawn on C5, I would hesitate, and it normally doesn't because it probably just ends up trading the pawn on C5 for the pawn on A2. I think, yeah, rook d1, black probably just goes bishop f8. And then we can consider both knight d3 or maybe even knight d4 allows too many potential forks to be a good move. Is there anything else apart from bishop f8 here? I mean, sometimes in the King's Indians, people like Efim Geller and so on, they pioneered the move bishop b5, yeah, proving that you can actually do this and balance these pieces precariously in the center and not really fearing f3, f4. But this is not the King's Indian. I don't know how well you can balance it in this particular situation. Takes g5 maybe, but
nah.
That's kind of an oof situation. Yeah, takes knight e7. I feel like this is not going.
Time for f4 or not yet?
Definitely playable here. You could start on taking on c8, by taking on c8 and asking what do you recapture with. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's not that bad. Knight e7 is a clever move because it also obviously creates. I don't know if you can call it a threat, but at least an idea of playing d6, d5 next, which would be quite useful, getting rid of one of the weaknesses.
It's amazing stuff. Mr. Caruana, the world number 2. What's he gonna do?
Well, I think very wisely taking a bit of a pause here, because this does feel like an important decision. You might have to calculate cleanly here. What does happen if we play f4? Does the bishop just... I don't think they even include rook takes c2. You just play bishop g7, right?
He takes, the knight recaptures, keeping an eye on the vulnerable d6 pawn, but of course, it's not the most active outpost this knight has dreamt of.
Absolutely not, yeah, but I think black is now hoping that, yeah, queen d2, queen a5, you can generate enough counterplay against the a2 pawn to compensate for kind of horribly misplacing your knight on c8. Rook c1 is an obvious way to defend the pawn on a2 by tactical means, using the knight on c8. Then maybe you can even go rook c2 next, and perhaps you can... No, I think I was about to say you can even try to get the second knight to d3 via either c1 or f4, but then bishop c3 becomes an issue.
Yeah. So white should still be somewhat better. But yeah, the most important thing is Peter Svidler is somewhat better. What happened to you? I might or might not have exaggerated or downplayed your illnesses over the last couple of weeks. What's the current status?
The current status, I'm feeling better with every passing day, and hoping to put it behind me in. Hang on, 97 A4, isn't A4 kind of winning now?
I'm much more curious what you're trying to put behind you.
We're not going to talk about it.
A4 plate, that's a very useful transformation of this pawn from sort of backwards weakness to pass pawn killer.
Yeah, I think this probably has been missed by Jan-Krzysztof, because it's hard to imagine him seeing A4 and thinking, yeah, it's fine to allow this. This does look sort of positionally busted now. I don't know. Yeah, Queen A6 is clever, trying to at least maybe get Knight C6 in, but it's not going to get allowed by Fabi. Yeah, this is a very poor position for Black now. Even something like a 4 Bishop G7 F5, I think, is playable. But yeah, Fabi much more shows a much more classical approach.
Boring.
Yeah, endgames are so good for White now that he is just politely asking for a queen trade, which Duda wisely declines.
Yep. A lot of Venice talk in all the chats. Masay Taco saying, did not know there is a Venice attack. I don't think there is. D5.
Yeah, takes F5. This is just going to be a massacre now.
He's exposed his king now.
Yeah, Black is kind of worse everywhere. Endgames are bad. He's also kind of getting mated on the king side. So yeah,
he has 4 IQPs. No, four isolated pawns. They're not all Q pawns.
This is not.
Fabi's crushing this kid. Oof.
Rook of it's just a mess.
Too many enemy.
Yeah, Bishop D6, Rook F7. Yeah, that doesn't really.
Humorless. (2-0) for Mr. Caruana. And the bad news is, since he won that first French game, although he got soundly outplayed, that means we'll see more French. Which I am never in favor of, unless it's Laurent Fressinet commentating. King H1, is this the same position they had earlier? No, they had A3, Queen B6.
I think he played A3, now he played King H1, yeah. Now Fabi goes before A5, which is the sort of the classical way of dealing with this, hoping to trade the bishop on C8 for the bishop on E2 as early as possible.
So on the degree of being sick last week, who was sicker, Mr. Dodgy or you? Maybe we can at least approach that.
I think it's a kind of a weird sliding scale. He was probably sicker. I was probably more annoyed at what was happening to me.
Sorry, guys, I'm trying to find out, but I guess at some point I'm going to have to respect Peter's obvious wish to not talk about it. Move on. Not yet, of course, but at some point. Pawn to C4.
Yeah, this is a move which, if we had Alexander Grishuk in the studio, he would be kind of cackling like a madman here, because I remember we were studying some. He was trying to teach me to play the advanced French. That was ages and ages ago, and I would keep trying to play C4 in every single position where the move was kind of legal, and the same applies to these types of structures in the Caro. And it became a bit of an inside joke between the two of us, that like my absolute obsession with, not playing structures, but trying to, devolve positions like this into a battle of calculation. That's because I don't understand these structures, and I would like to have something to calculate.
If we had Ben Feingold, he would make all kinds of jokes about c4 being very explosive.
That also is probably true.
Chess fan 993 is saying, with all the respect to Jan, Peter is a much better player. Yeah, I'm sorry I tried to misinterpret myself as the much better player. What did I miss now?
What did I miss? Did you?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what we've done. I think we can all agree that I'm a much better player than Chess fan 993. Moving on. Bishop to b7. Isn't Caruana fine now? c4? I don't like with knight on d1.
Yeah, sort of normally depends on whether white can play d5 or I don't know, f5, something actually. But f5 doesn't normally work with the center being so much in flux. And d5, I think Fabi correctly says that he can take, they can play knight b6 and not really worry about these things too much.
Knight on d1 is just, it's not where it's supposed to be yet.
Yeah, but bishop e4, maybe it's not that bad for white. You can definitely imagine white being doing quite well here if he manages to, in particular, get some sort of knight f2, rook a1 moves in, and I think you probably want to play the endgame here. But queen g2, knight takes d2. There is no immediate attractive move that presents itself for black there. I don't know. Interesting position. You could maybe consider playing f5. So he takes with the bishop. That's very unexpected to me. I was pretty sure you were supposed to take with the knight there. Here in particular, I would be very interested in f7, in f7, f5. Just either driving the bishop away from the long diagonal or opening up the situation in the center.
Still looks like white is fighting for survival here. His pieces are just not really coordinated.
Yeah, I don't disagree with this assessment, but I really don't know why the bishop took on d2. I think it was really supposed to be the knight, and then we control we control a lot more squares. We never have to worry about like knight c4 happening and so on. I think he did it because he wanted to develop the knight to e3, which now is very much in evidence. No tactics available to black because bishop takes b7 attacks. No, I was going to ask about knight takes e5, but the rook on c8 always hangs, right? Bishop a6, we go.
Fabi's not messing around, just prepare c4. Looks very nice.
Yeah, this does look like a very strong move, and yeah, once black gets c5, c4, and the white construction looks a bit aimless. You do get to play knight f5 and then perhaps bishop e3 or something. So there's still very much a game on it. It's a very sharp endgame. And Fabi actually stops that by playing g6. That's quite clearly aimed at not allowing knight f5. But does give white a tempo to maybe try to fight against c5, c4 somehow. Not sure how though. b3 doesn't really look like a very good idea.
Maybe he just has all the time in the world, yeah. So
it's very possible. Very possible.
No, Fabi coming out of the gates. Running, is that the analogy? Firing?
Yeah, we can compete on the topic of who can remember the most cliches about starting well, but
I can't think of a single one. It can't be
neither
out of the
neither
gate
can I.
firing.
So that will be a very exciting competition. So firing on all cylinders, but that's not necessarily about.
That's not starting well.
Yeah, that's not
starting.
That's just firing. Yeah. Knight g4. I guess he is pretending f5 is a strong threat here, which it might. Yeah, but allows knight c4. How do you even respond to knight c4 here? I guess you have to go rook c2 and kind of hate life. Those two things go very well together. Even knight takes d2 and then knight d4 in the end looks very strong. You can also go knight d4 straight away. All of these things look very attractive for black now. But I think just taking the bishop off the board so that f5 becomes much less potent, and then playing knight d4, c4, c3, and so on looks very, very strong for black. Feels like black is very much in control now.
Yeah. Coming off the blocks is mentioned. That makes sense. But how do you come off the blocks? You don't come off the blocks firing either, no?
You come off
hitting the ground running.
When,
that's a good one.
When the starting pistol is fired, then you're not supposed to come off the blocks earlier than that, right?
I think the game only starts once both sides made a move, so it doesn't matter. Knight f2 played, covering d1.
Yeah, this is why I've kind of preferred taking on g2. I thought the task would have been simpler if you did not have to worry about, that bishop ever landing on e3. But I guess black is still doing very, very well after, as you indicated, a4, b3. We have knight a3 there. Seemed to me like the other position was simpler to handle, but this should still favor black. Knight g2 maybe is not a stupid move here. Just continuing to invade the enemy territory.
Yeah, it's just crushing him. Stormed out of the gates. Keep them coming. Shoot out of the blocks. Fabiano Caruana on his way to a 3-0 lead in this match, which would be significant. And there are many questions if Lawrence Trent will be joining us today. Probably not today, but I'm sure that you Trent heads will see more of Lawrence Trent during the coverage of this lovely event. Peter, you're never on air with Lawrence, but you spend a lot of time off air with Lawrence. Is that accurate?
I think that would be an actual description of my life right now, which is a sad state of affairs. But this is what it has devolved to.
As for the position, it's also a sad situation. Two bishops, but more importantly,
is it getting more and more absurd though?
Are just coming.
Yeah, a4 just looks extremely strong here. You don't have to even calculate any attempts.
b3 might be winning, but why the rush, right?
Yeah, although I mean, if it is just winning, you might as well. Yeah, I think a4 looked very, very logical. Knight e4, we take on c2, we go immediate b3 looks strong, c3 followed by b3 might be winning by force. Yeah, just looks bad for white.
Here it comes.
Yeah, ab cb, that's interesting because it does allow, like, white suddenly will have one active piece, but probably a3 followed by b. Like, I think the bigger issue is that rook c7, a3 just queens the b pawn. And probably even here, a3 followed by b2 ends up winning by force. Although,
and I'd like to, sorry to interrupt, but Five's going to win this. I'd like to take a small break to welcome Lawrence Trent. Today he's using the username YargoTKD1, and he's saying, I think it's hilarious you kids talking shit about Trent. I wouldn't say shit to him at a chess event. He's jacked. Not only that, but he wears the freshest clothes, waits at the chillest restaurants, and hangs out with the hottest dudes. You all are pathetic, LOL. How you doing, Lawrence?
That's, I mean, I'm very happy you read out that pasta, but your, what to say? Like, this is one of the most, the most classical Twitch pastas of all time. And welcome to Yargot, who is a regular viewer of my streams and is most assuredly not Lawrence Trent.
I find that hard to believe.
That is a good pasta, and it makes my heart flutter to see it being used in chess streams.
Should we mention that 6h4 is being used in a chess game here?
Yeah,
you played h4, right?
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of that in my own free time with no success whatsoever. But I just completely ran out of moves to make, so I make arguably the most absurd one I know in this position quite a lot. It's not unplayable. It's probably not much worse than anything that is not the absolute main lines. I assume bishop b3 and bishop g5 are a little bit stronger, but yeah, I think of the ridiculous moves you can make in this position, h4 is definitely in the top 5.
These are just the main lines.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a bit of a quiet one though, because e5, yeah, the old thinking here was that you were supposed to push for some kind of f4 and g4, just trying to get all of your pawns to the 4th. But Fabi goes for a much more restrained approach here, going bishop g5, then taking on f6 and playing g3, showing another idea behind h4, because now you've, as they often do in at least some of the what's the word, Sveshnikovs, you want to put the light square bishop on h3, and Duda actually stops that by playing queen d7, which is, I think, a good idea. But he's probably still slightly worse, right? Just 95 next. Does seem like a very decent version of the positions White normally gets when he plays, I think. Bishop b2, bishop g5, right? That's the positions I'm thinking of. But here, having g3 and h4 and the bishop still on f1 does look like it's in White's favor, actually. Yeah, that's an interesting theory, Matty Kronf. Matty Kronf says, hot take, the less hair Fabi has, the better he plays. For the candidates, he'll show up with a buzz cut. We will, this is a kind of a watch this space take, which I think we should memorize, kind of carefully mark the date and revisit this when we see him next playing in an official tournament.
Could be, but in general, I've grown more careful commenting on the top 2 players in the world's hair. But from what I know about Fabi, he's very happy about the amount of hair he's able to grow and does not want to keep it too short, does he?
Normally, no. But if he does at some point discover that he is some sort of a, reverse Samson, and his power is in the absence of hair, he might sacrifice his stunning good looks for some additional EV.
I'm not sure how much he wants to give up for chess strength. What is this position? Is White better? It's
very much depends on whether we can give immediate mate, right? Like if g4, g5 somehow wins here, that's one thing. If not, and Black gets to play d5, let's say in some kind of a comfortable setup, maybe Black is not doing so poorly. I don't know. f4. I guess aimed mainly at stopping d5, because I don't know if, although actually, if we get the pawn all the way to f5, the threat of g4, g5 becomes so much more potent because it cannot be met by f6, f5 in reply. Yeah, I like this for White. I think it's probably very, very dangerous for Duda here.
Also interesting change of direction by Caruana after playing a quiet, steady bishop b5 check. Now he's going for 6h4 against the Najdorf, which is somewhat sharper.
Maybe a lot sharper, yeah.
A few different eras he wanted to give a try in this match, because obviously you can play a lot of games, and I guess the Najdorf was not a surprise coming from Duda. I think that's one of his main openings. Duda's trying to stop bishop e2, g4, g5, and so on.
Yeah, he's trying to solve his issues by playing dynamically, and he absolutely has to, because if you allow bishop e2, g4, g5, you're just wars everywhere.
Do we have time for some slow b4, c3, or is he going d5? Actually?
I think he probably wants to go d5 next. I would play king b1 here and very seriously consider maybe even not spending any time on. Like I'm kind of happy giving up the pawn on b3 if it gets me the progress on the king side that I want. Although those are not my pawns, so I think I might be happy about that than Fabi is.
King b1 played.
Is d5 playable? I guess we just take e takes d5 and we don't much care. Another positional threat here would be just to play bishop c4, bishop d5, and then play c3 comfortably at your leisure later.
Leisure or leisure?
We've explored their particular. Yeah, I'm going with leisure now, is what I'm trying to say, which is probably
That's the American way. You would usually choose the UK pronunciation, no? Which would be leisure. No reaction.
Yeah, I'm staying away from this hugely controversial subject. You know, I'm trying to steer clear of the troubled waters of 2020, and this is obviously such a part.
Are you still heartbroken Trump lost the election?
He hasn't lost yet. What are you talking about?
Well played. Pawn to a5. Although he did tweet today that
and then somebody, I think somebody pointed out
because of massive fraud or something, right?
Yeah, and then I think his advisors ran into his bedroom and started shouting at him, because I think he corrected himself by saying he only won according to the fake lamestream media, and everything is very much still in progress, and so on and so forth. I think this was a bit of a misstep, which wasn't pre-planned. But it was a very funny interaction, because that really did read like a concession to it, and a lot of people obviously immediately piled on to say, look, very nice of you to finally concede. We welcome this, and then the concession was very, very swiftly walked back.
All right, back to more controversial topics. I think Duda might actually be okay now. Rook g8, putting some pressure here. Queen h6.
Yeah, I think the point here is that after bishop c4, he can play b5, bishop d5, rook takes g3, but that might actually lose.
Wow.
Because I think in the end, bishop takes f7 gives mate. Because like the queen on d1 doesn't actually give a single check, and bishop takes f7 does create an unstoppable threat of queen g8 mate.
Amazing calculation speed. And I'm being corrected by many angry people out there that you were indeed correct, and leisure is the UK pronunciation. Leisure is the American way. I would like to apologize to everybody that I've heard.
And Fabi does play bishop c4, which I think means he's made the very same calculation we've just referred to. If he does get to play c3, black's position goes back to being very unattractive. I guess you can play b4 to at least force some openings of the files on the queen side if white plays c3, but I don't know how much it improves black's situation anyway.
There's a question by Casablanca11. Jan, how many of the 50 greatest players of all time have you beaten? Probably not many. I can't recall the whole list. I think the gentleman we're watching right here, right now, might be the only one. I did beat Fabi in a tournament game. Other than that, I can't think of one. So probably just him. Peter, on the other hand, probably beat a lot.
Yeah, I still don't have a classical win against Vichy, but apart from that, I think I have wins against everybody I played against. I obviously will not have played against a great number of people on the lists, but those I played against, I think only Vichy.
He is on the list, so you can still have 49 other scalps. But seriously, no, you beat Carlsen, obviously, Kasparov, Kramnik, Caruana, Aronian, Kayakin, Leko, Ivanchuk.
Are we doing the can you actually remember the entire 50 competition right now?
No, I clearly can't. I'm trying to think of the ones he actually most likely played. Gelfand, Anyway.
Yeah, the the knight actually stayed on d4, which means that black's position may be okay. Now the king is still in danger. White has invaded. Whoa, king h6, king h5. That's and the machine really hates rook g8 apparently because of, I don't know if it's queen c7 or something, but that construction on the king side. I was about to say if you go h7.
Hang on, they blundered g4 that it's not checkmate. What's
I don't
he
think
doing?
it is. Like,
I don't understand.
I think he is now probably lost. Yeah.
Yeah.
That does feel like this will be the first game in the match where, I mean, Duda definitely gets half a point out of this. I don't know if he wins on the very, very short time remaining, because in order to win, you have to probably give up the pawn on b5 for the pawn on e4. He found a way not even to do that. That's very nice conversion technique there. You can even push d6, d5 here and win that position. So yeah, this should now be a win for, yeah, in particular now that the b pawn is gone. Yeah, this one you probably don't struggle to win ever, because the pawns just queen very, very quickly. Now you can start pushing the e pawn as well. Yeah, doesn't want to give up anything. Very greedy. Like e4, e3 was like genuinely queening the e pawn there. It was impossible to stop, but he goes for a greedier line, but that's also fine, of course.
And Duda is on the scoreboard after he tumbled out of the gates. He now wins his first game. Only 3-1 lead for Mr. Caruana, who is already back in action, playing his trusted, beloved French opening. We get the same position as in game one.
Yeah, that's actually straight up the same position, and I guess Fabi will not repeat bishop b7, rook a d8, because that didn't seem right. Bishop b7 might still be okay, but rook a d8, just like allowing queen f2 there, cannot possibly be
even bishop b7. Why do you keep doing that, Fabi? Knight e4 or d4 both look much more in the spirit, don't they?
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised, but if rook a d8 actually ends up being played again, that would be just shocking to me. Okay. He starts with h6, but I don't know how much that improves his situation. I guess
still slow.
Maybe queen f2 he wants to go knight a4, because queen f2 still looks extremely logical here, trying to get a very similar position to the one white got in the game. Rook a1 also very logical. Yeah, also very, very logical. Rook a8. Now we can go queen f2. I suppose.
F2.
Yeah, but I guess, yeah, I mean, the difference would be you have knight a4 now, but I don't know how happy you are about it. The endgame is probably worse.
Can we go b4, just, fishing for some weaknesses here?
Yeah, definitely makes more sense than allowing white to play b4, which is what happened in that game. You have to change the course somehow, because, yeah, I'm pretty sure he was in a lot of danger in that game, despite having eventually won it quite convincingly.
Before plate, yeah, I don't like how Duda did this.
We take, I guess. Although, I mean, you could make an argument. Could make an argument for just ignoring it and going 92. Yeah, that's what he's done. I guess takes queen a5 is like the most obvious way to continue unpinning yourself, creating an idea.
b3 we can actually take. Yeah? He goes d4.
Yeah, that's a very concrete idea. Yeah, knight g3 is very logical in response to d4, because the square on e4 now looks very, very inviting for that knight, and also white probably already kind of wants to play f5. This is going to be very sharp, because by doing all this, white more or less completely abandons the queen side normally, so it becomes a very expensive position to play.
Should have such a clean look on this diagonal after starting with the French opening.
Yeah, well, I think the position is still unclear, but that's a huge improvement over game one for sure for Fabi here. That's a very playable position. Maybe even just outright good for black, because of how good this bishop on this b7 is, as you correctly pointed out.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is not good news. If you have to go rook e1, d1, kind of admitting mistakes, and sort of switching to defensive mode after playing for direct attack on the king side. That's not great news for white normally. Even if the pawn on d4 falls, the bishop on b7 will be ample compensation for it. And I'm not at all sure it falls.
Queen b2, so greedy.
Well, combining attacking with defense. Yeah, knight h4 is it looks weird, but it's very understandable because if white doesn't push f4 f5, it's really unclear where his play is. So Jan-Krzysztof is doing the right thing by... Hang on a second. Ah, no, the knight is not many too. I was wondering if he could have gone after the queen, like rook b1, queen a3, rook a1, but there's also knight takes d3 to consider, so it basically never works.
Counter-attack. All right, knight h4, Duda putting all his eggs in the kingside basket.
Pretty much, yeah. The way to solve this issue sort of once and for all would be to play something like f5 here, but it does give white targets for play after ef, rook f6, knight h5, for instance, becomes moving.
Rook c8 is saying you can't go f5 because I will checkmate you after knight d3. Rook d3, rook c2, or at the very least. White will not enjoy this experience greatly.
No, not very much, no. This is a clever move, yeah. That shows very good awareness by Fabi, saying that also the bishop really has no good squares, so we don't have to include knight takes d3 first. We always have that in reserve. After rook b1, I wonder if he continues with something like queen takes a3 or if he goes into the endgame, because I think the endgame is quite good for black, but maybe you can be even greedier.
By the endgame, you mean?
Yeah, like this position takes, and I don't know, bishop d5 in the end. It's probably a very good endgame for black, but it's possible that there is no good reply to queen takes a3 either. Although, since there is a pause, we can just to show what white often ends up doing in positions like this. If we go rook b1, queen a3, in particular in a blitz game, I would very, very seriously consider rook b7, knight b7, f5.
No bigger firebrand than you. But Jan-Krzysztof goes knight to h5. Trying to drum up an attack over here. But is it time after knight d3?
I think he specifically created a square on g3. Yeah, maybe even immediately. Yeah, immediately. Yeah, that's very good. That's very, very good.
Amazing.
So showing that that was time well spent, because he did burn, I think, over.
Knight takes d3 plate, and let's see what happens. Queen g3, g6 on the board.
She takes d3. Yeah. Now somewhat deceptively, rook b1 might queen e2. There's queen e2 there. So you still have knight f6 check though. Rook b1 might be a very significant threat here, which Fabi needs to pay attention to. For instance, I think rook c2 just flat out loses to it, which is not irrelevant.
That would be a big turnaround. So Fabi just calmly plays bishop to a8, making sure this rook cannot approach that bishop anymore. He's saying, you, sir, have no threats.
Which I think is not true, but I think rook b1 was annoying him to such a degree that he felt obliged. f5 looks very interesting here, but I'm kind of struggling to land a decisive blow in the end of those variations there. Probably because there isn't one. f5 ef e6 exists. f5 ef rook takes f5 is not entirely ridiculous, but I just don't see any way to deliver mate there. Yeah, Jan-Krzysztof goes rook b1. I don't know what that is. Like, what are we trying to attack on the b file? And queen d2 is quite clever because it looks more natural to play queen e2 to attack the knight on f6 on h5, but white just goes knight f6 check. And I think on d2 the queen performs more functions. Because you want to play rook c2, you want to play queen e3, and also after rook f2 here, you do have rook c1 check, which you wouldn't have if you played queen e2, which might be an important bit of difference.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Knight f6 checking g7, and the chat is missing Lawrence Trent. Which one is it? When he's here, you're very unhappy. When he's not here, you're very unhappy. Are you just unhappy no matter what, chat? Are we alike, you and I? I feel that might be it.
Yeah.
Peter, how happy are you these days?
Oh, exceedingly. I am the Little Miss Sunshine, or a close approximation thereof.
Was she that happy?
I have no idea.
I guess she was quite cheerful. Queen e3. Fabi would be thrilled to get rid of the queens. Can Jan-Krzysztof stop that? Rook f3 looks obvious, but then queen e2, and he's sort of...
I think rook c1 check is the idea here, and I'm kind of wondering why this was allowed.
It's better.
It wasn't allowed, yeah. Okay. Knight d6 played.
Knight d6, allowing the exchange of queens.
Yeah, you can also start with rook c2. No, rook c2, maybe you allow f5, f6, so maybe you take on, actually, you probably actually take on g3 first. He goes rook c2.
Doesn't.
How is he planning to meet f5?
Has he blundered this? No. f5 happened?
Yeah, this looks like
Knight f5 is there?
Yeah, I think you're supposed to take on g3 and allow f6, and I think White is extremely happy. White is extremely happy about making this little bit of progress. Position after knight f5 is still very unclear. On knight d5, I don't know which one is stronger. But I think
knight d5 on the board.
Yeah, I think White generally is extremely happy about having a pawn on f6 in these types of positions. Jan-Krzysztof could be doing very well here, potentially.
And the Twitch chat is saying they miss Lawrence because they want to tell him how much they don't want him. While I do understand that sport, and some people might argue that I'm as guilty of it as the next guy, we should never forget that Lawrence is a human being out of flesh and blood with feelings.
Well, hang on a second.
Could get hurt.
He blundered mate in 5, or 4 or whatever. That's a bit of a blow. That was not necessary. Going rook b8 there was, I think, uncalled for.
How bad was this position before rook b8? Because rook b8 allowed this fourth sequence, which we will now revisit. Check, check, and resigns because this is another check and another check leading to checkmate.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't great, but yeah, allowing mate with checks is generally suboptimal. Yeah, just go king g1 here, and I think the game very much continues. I'm not even like I've seen some evaluations in the chat, but I don't know if they are about this position or about some position earlier, because this looks very, very far from clear to my eyes. The discussion about 6h4 continues, and now Fabi does switch to what I assumed was sort of the main line of the variation with 8f4, and they both are playing this extremely quickly.
So far, I've seen this before. Doesn't the queen often go to e2? I might be mixing stuff up.
In this particular position, queen e2, like the issue is you will not really be able to castle because of bishop g4, bishop takes d1. So yeah, so bishop b4, queen e3, stopping knight takes e4, and now Duda plays d4 very quickly.
Duda knows this. He's blitzing. He's done his homework.
We know this, which is a very oblique reference.
Please explain.
I've watched some SNL recently, and there was not a particularly funny bit about Professor We Know This. So yeah, Duda.
And SNL stands for Saturday Night Live?
Yep.
d4, knight takes d4, bishop c5, pinning the knight. Can't go anywhere because this would be a check. Knight ce2, not the move you are dreaming of, but defending the knight, and queen b6, keeping the pieces very harmoniously arranged. Black is a pawn down, but has tremendous pressure in return. King to b1, and now Jan-Krzysztof can decide what to do next.
This looks very
castle.
attractive for black. White's pieces are kind of tied up. You can even castle long here if you wanted to. Knight g4 also looks very concrete, with ideas of knight f2 later. Yeah, this looks potentially just flat out bad for white. I can very easily imagine this just being unplayable for white because you never actually unpin yourself properly.
Mhm.
And you lose a lot of material with two long castles followed by knight f2, for instance.
Knight g4. Just to be clear, it's SNL, not S and L, right?
Yeah, and I don't really disagree with an SNL hate being proffered in chat.
Queen to c3.
Yeah, how do you meet long castles here? What's the move even? Why do you not resign? Like seriously, what is the response to long castles here? Hang on.
All tied up. Can't
Yeah,
move the knight.
d4 is not hanging though. You can actually make a move because black is currently not threatening to take twice.
What move?
No, but what I mean is maybe rook d8 is a cleaner win because after rook d8 you actually do lose the piece on d4, right? Maybe that's just faster. Same position, only we do threaten to take twice. Yeah, that's a bit of an opening disaster here for Fabi.
Fabi, do some homework.
Griffith Chess says, if Peter was American, what state would he be from? And obviously I can't resist such an obvious setup. As I have previously stated, I'm from Iowa, and please direct to me all of your favorite corn-related questions.
Do you think you'd be happy as a corn? Is it a corn farmer? What would your job description be?
I would be driving the truck. I would be
driving the bandwagon.
No, I've Peter Truck Driver Svidler, another very very niche reference. I'm sorry, this is devolving into something completely unwatchable very quickly. Yeah, and Fabi is kind of desperately trying to find a way to just continue. I think you go knight takes e6 here. If you don't want to resign, you go knight e6, like maybe bishop c1 and then queen takes g7, but you still lose. I'm pretty sure. The simplest way is just to go rook f8 and take on f1. I think there's just going to be a couple of checks and then white is a full rook down.
Yeah.
That's a weird game though, because Fabi, I mean, we haven't really seen him do this. Yeah, that's also pretty good. Yeah, that's a clever idea.
No, you can go knight d4. I just want to show the cute checkmate.
Yeah, because I think the French and the 6h4 were something like Fabi, I think, takes this thing seriously enough to not just wake up 5 minutes before the game and just suddenly decide to play h4. And for him to just be straight up lost by move 16 in what appeared to be a theoretical discussion he was very prepared for. I mean, he blitzed everything up to queen e3 there.
Yeah, you don't see that often, but he clearly got out prepared in this one by Jan-Krzysztof. I would guess he did wake up 5 minutes before the game, but I would also think he prepared probably the night before, the days before, because it's not that early when they start in the US. Yeah, it's like noon where Fabi is, question mark? No, it's more, it's 10. Sorry, I'm struggling with the time zones.
We're assuming he's in St. Louis now, or
he's in St. Louis, yeah, I guess. Is that 6 hours or more?
I guess it's 6 with you, yeah, probably 6 with you. So okay. it's not
no
that early. Not that early, yeah. And we do get the position we were talking about earlier. Just taking on f1 here should not be a mistake. You can try including some other things to finesse things a little bit, but I just don't see why you would need to.
The dude hanging in there.
That will bring the scores a lot closer. Like Fabi was running away with it, but now with Duda winning 2 black games in a row, it's going to give him give him, I think, much needed optimism. Bishop a3, yeah, trying to actually sort of solve the position for an immediate mate. There is queen e6, queen b3, but I guess in that endgame, Jan-Krzysztof probably correctly calculated that the bishop on f1 still. Yeah, it's not a rook yet. It's currently an exchange, but I guess the bishop on f1 still dies.
Bishop d6, and we take more stuff now.
Yeah, looks like there is nothing smarter in this position than queen b3, and then you just lose that endgame without really ever being in the game. Very nicely done by Jan-Krzysztof in this game, but some kind of a weird mishap in the opening, and people have been asking what was that queen e3, but I'm sort of struggling to figure out. I'm pretty sure I've seen this position before, but I can't remember what you were supposed to do there. Whoa, cute. b3, queen d4 by.
Finally, queen b2.
Yeah, styling on the kid. I'm using the term kid here liberally.
He's 28 years old, Fabiano Caruana. Been around for a day or two in the chess world. And Jan-Krzysztof Duda scoring another victory with the black pieces. Out of the last 4 games, the player on the white side has scored a total of 0 points.
Yeah, that's quite striking how well black has been doing recently. And we finally have a slightly different range with Jan-Krzysztof declining to go f4 and move 5 and goes for knight c2, c3, which is a line which sort of has existed forever, but is, a very unfashionable.
I sort of like this line, but I never like this f4. I feel that's too much territory to defend. I like knight here. Let's not get too crazy. But Jan-Krzysztof does go for knight f3. Isn't this where they have all these old... when I was a young man, I was taught such things. And I'm not sure about the exact position. Maybe CD is included.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure things like this were fashionable, but some time ago. And attempts, I think, have been made to revive this for white, but I think they're mainly connected with ideas of, h4, rook h3 is very topical. Like white doesn't really try to castle kingside in any kind of a normal fashion, and the king often stays on e1 or goes to f2 if it's getting checked from before. Often cd4, bishop before check is at least a consideration, and white normally just goes king f2 and tries to get it towards safety, sort of by foot.
Question in the chat for you is slightly different French. Is that a Canadian?
Belgian, maybe?
Wow.
Shots fired.
A lot of hot takes by Mr. Svidler today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I am now sitting here desperately trying to figure out who I should apologize to after I've made that remark. Which of the two sovereign nations will be more upset with me?
Clear. Knight g3, CD, knight to b4.
Yeah, knight to b4 specifically stopping bishop d3. I think it's less about occupying that beautiful square and more about not allowing bishop d3, bishop
was that such a big threat? He goes for it anyway, so
yeah, I think bishop d3, bishop h7, knight g5, queen h5, and so on is a genuine thing that happens in these positions, because white is quite well prepared to give that mate in this types of structure.
So just to illustrate,
I think it might work here.
You people are not Beth Harmons who can just look at the ceiling and replay these lines in your head.
I think rook h8 probably
checkmate,
here.
No?
Yeah, it does feel like this mates by force. Yeah.
Some more material up for grabs here, but in the end, it comes down to this. Therefore, Mr. Caruana would be well advised to capture this bishop before it sacrifices itself here, or to play a move like f5.
Yeah, f6 f5 is the other option, of course, but then the white center is completely inviolate, and white can play a lot safer. I think like taking on d3 and then playing f5 is maybe But why would you though? Yeah, take on d3, go bishop d7, bishop b8. Try to maybe activate your bishop that way. White probably stops it from reaching g6 by playing h5 there.
Takes b3, rook c8. Now that the main enemy has disappeared, the light square bishop, black can't be in too bad a shape. Knight a8, very slow move though. Defending against bishop takes a5.
It was hanging, and also I think you kind of want to start preparing b5 because you do need some counterplay. Black is reasonably solid here now that he is not getting mated on the king side, at least not immediately, but he is slightly struggling for proactive things to do. Maybe queen b6, bishop b4, but that seems slow. Are we ignoring the idea of h6, or are we playing h6 ourselves, allowing maybe knight h4, knight g6 from white?
I don't like h6, but Caruana does it, saying, I cannot let you advance any further. Now Jan-Krzysztof.
This far and not further.
What you gonna do? The rook is not obviously needed in the kingside attack, or doesn't have an obvious role there. So he reshuffles the knight. Maybe preparing some rook g3.
Yeah, maybe rook g3, maybe in some cases g4, g5, but I have a feeling white almost never has enough time for g4, g5, yeah. You do at some point maybe want to consider getting the king away from the... Well, he instantly goes g4, proving me incorrect. Yeah, after b6 in particular, because Fabi, by playing b6, he says, I really am going for very, very slow burn on the queen side. I'm not trying to do anything immediately. I've, locked down the knight on a8, locked down the queen on d8, which also now will be quite hard to activate. So white definitely gets more time to try something direct on the king side. Queen c7, queen c2 would be useful, but white always has rook c1. So. What do we do?
I do not know. b6 is provocatively slow by Mr. Caruana, and it deserves harsh punishment.
Knight c7, so Fabi's just not a believer, yeah? I guess maybe he couldn't find anything better, because this really does feel extremely slow in the face of white basically trying to give direct mate on the king side. How do you even meet g5? There's also ef and then g5, which also looks extremely scary.
Rook c1, just giving this rook a little work before going for further action. Knight e8. What a sad journey this knight has had.
Yeah, but at least it deals with the idea of ef6 and then g5. This no longer is any good, because obviously you do not want to develop that knight from e8 to e4. That would be a mistake. Yeah, I'm surprised by rook c1. I mean, it's solid. It's not never going to be a bad move, but like,
isn't it logical to exchange the one piece that doesn't do anything and then use the other ones? Like,
yeah, but you do give black some time to prepare for the impending apocalypse on the king side, and felt like you could be just getting there if you continued the direct attack. Looked very strong to me. I don't know. I still like white. It's just that I thought maybe he was winning by force, and now it's I think further away.
Queen to g6 played, rook c1, bishop c1. What's chat talking about? Some Queen's Gambit talk?
I got asked which celebrity I would rate as a perfect 10, and Nizaki correctly answered that question with Michael Atherton. Michael Atherton is a very good universal answer to most questions, which are not answered by 42.
He keeps coming up on every one of these shows, and I keep forgetting who it is, so it must be a cricket person.
Yes.
Is he stunningly handsome?
well, I've just declared my pretty much undying love for him. So, like,
Yeah, but perfect 10 is about looks, no?
yes.
Gotcha. Knight e5 and Duda, has not gone in for the kill, but he keeps having a grip. Now this idiot knight is still stumbling all over the board. Now b5 is coming, but it feels like too little too late. Pawn to g5. Opening the floodgates.
Yeah, this looks bad. This looks like white might finally be scoring some points in this match. Duda didn't even have to sacrifice anything for this position, so. And he's also up a minute on the clock, so yeah, doing very, very well in this one.
The dude is on fire.
Yeah,
about to make it all the way back.
I think GH, and you don't need to be fancy. Just start opening up files, and the black position should just collapse. Fe5, rook g3. Every single white piece is aimed where it's supposed to be aimed, and black really has no defenders.
And there is no hope. The knight makes another appearance.
HG, and then h6, and then h7 mate. Yeah, this is kind of bad.
And Caruana seen enough. Fabi, time to move on from the French. You're a great e4, e5 player. You're a great e4, c5 player. Stop being stubborn. Try winning some games, maybe.
Yeah.
He's still up 4-3. But as we mentioned, the lower the time control goes, the higher probably Jan-Krzysztof Duda's chances. So Caruana should not get too comfortable with this tiny lead.
And we might see some, repair work done on this particular Sicilian.
Queen d3 now.
Queen d3 instead of queen d2. Yeah, in case of d5 long castles, this obviously is a much more bishop b4 is just flat out unplayable in that position, which is useful for black, of course. You can take on e4, but you could have taken on e4 with the queen on g2. It leads to the same position. I'm pretty sure the queen goes to e3 normally. Here it might even go to g3, but e3 still remains the most natural square.
DE. Do you go for the endgame? Nah, queen e3.
No, you never trade those.
No endgame.
Yeah. Queen e3, they go queen c8 normally, and I think this is like an all theoretical position, but normally, like in the old times, the pawn would be on h2, and there would be like a bishop on e2 potentially. And then there are lines after like knight e4, knight e4, queen e4, bishop e7, hoping to castle kingside and be completely fine. But white maybe is not obliged to take on e4 straight away. You could definitely imagine white trying to finesse this somehow here. Maybe start with bishop b2 or something. King b1.
King b1.
Yeah. Well, the pawn on e4 is not really running away. It's just that bishop b7 castle's short is.
You're not worried about knight g4? Probably not.
A little bit, but I think it's a bit too greedy.
Go for it, Jan-Krzysztof.
Doesn't really feel like it's something the dynamic attacking player like Jan-Krzysztof is likely to do here, because like hanging on. Well, okay.
Boom, knight g4.
Queen b6, I think. Queen b6, f5, and then some. Oh, queen g3 as well. Yeah, I don't know. I really couldn't see much wrong with bishop b7. I guess he didn't like knight c5 maybe, but
f5, defend the pawn.
Yeah, 5 bishop e2, I guess.
Go back with the horse. Mission accomplished.
It is sort of mission accomplished, but the resulting position, it's not going to be that easy for black to develop there, because the bishop on f8 is tied down to the protection of the pawn on g7. I could throw in bishop d6 somewhere, maybe even immediately. I don't know. Like I'm trying to figure out if I need to play bishop b2. Maybe there's something stronger. Knight d5 exists as a possibility. Very interesting. And this, I think, is what Fabi was kind of trying to get in that game that he lost in 20 moves 2 games prior to this. And yeah, something got badly mixed up in that one. And here he already has a minute up on the clock and seemingly quite happy with the outcomes.
Seemingly. Duda taking his time.
Yeah, but
and goes f5.
You kind of have to, having played knight g4, you really are in a position where what else, like, how else do you justify your previous move? But that's very, very high risk. Bishop e2, knight f6, knight c5 even. Is that any good? The thing is, I don't know if I've created a threat. It looks cute, but I don't know if, like, apart from there's also rook f8 there. What am I talking about? It just doesn't work at all. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, we'll see. We'll see what Fabi does here.
Fabi channeling his inner Alpha Zero, activating the pieces.
Well, actually, h5 is a very serious choice here, which I've completely disregarded.
The knight goes back.
Yeah, and Fabi just plays slowly here, goes h5, says your pieces don't really make much sense together. It's going to be difficult for you to develop. I don't really care that I'm a pawn down.
h5 played, king f7.
The king f7 very logical. You want to be able to play bishop e7, start connecting your pieces, maybe go rook d8, start maybe trading along the d file or something. And it's not the biggest issue for white here is how to generate direct threats.
Knight f4 generates a threat, but maybe not on the side of the board. You want to generate them.
Yeah, maybe queen e8, rook d8 is a efficient enough answer. Was it strong on the previous move though? Could we do it on the previous move? It's too late now, but with the king on on e8, maybe it was a lot more relevant than it is here.
Huh. How much time is left in the 5-minute portion? 8 minutes. This might be the last game of the session.
Yeah, probably ends up being the penultimate. I think they will struggle to stretch this out for the full to full 8 minutes. So probably one more after this. Queen f2 doesn't seem like it's very life-threatening. I don't think g4 is a huge threat after something like bishop e7 and yeah, bishop e7, rook d8 feels very logical in response. White still has compensation, of course, but black isn't doing that poorly. The engine bar apparently completely disagrees. I've just noticed how much it loves the white position.
Engine bar has been happy with the white position for a while. Just for explanation, we don't have an engine running, so there is nonsense happening, mainly on this analysis board, but there is a little engine bar next to the live board where you can see how the computer evaluates the live position. It currently thinks that white is somewhat better.
Yeah, which is interesting considering the fact that black is a pawn up and that is a healthy, protected passer in the center, and white doesn't really, at least not immediately, has to have any threats to speak of. King safety is a very
something that changed probably in the last 10 years, maybe 15 years. That 15 years ago, computers wouldn't say white is much better in such a position if there's not a direct threat.
Probably not. Yeah, I think that a lot of progress has been made in understanding the dynamic positions by the top engines. H6 looks kind of suspect, specifically because it's slow. I don't disagree with the idea of stopping white from getting H6 in at an opportune moment, but it looks kind of slow. G4, Fg, bishop G3 is an interesting sequence I would not have expected, but knight takes E4 was a huge big threat, which now forces black to go king G8, meaning that the rook on H8 will be out of play for the foreseeable. Yeah, for full MVL versus Morozevich flashbacks. Yeah, you need the pawn on G6, of course, which is currently sadly lacking, but. Yeah, that's one of the most epic games ever. If some of you have not seen that, the game between MVL and Morozevich from one of the Biel tournaments, I think, right? I will struggle to name the
Yeah.
year, but I'm pretty sure it was a Bill. Yeah, that's one of the most exciting games ever. If you can find it with annotations by either of them, it's very well worth your time to just play through that. So many unbelievable variations, both in the game and sort of left behind the curtain there.
Yeah, it's great joy. Okay, Queen e3, Bishop f7, targeting pawn on h5. Although I'm not sure he really wants to take it.
Well,
Knight takes e4. He does want to take it.
He pretty much has to, because like if you give up both the pawn on e4 and then
No mate. Looks like there should be mate. Bishop d6 apparently was not it. Queen e6. Let's
That
start.
probably was a stronger solution. I think he probably thought he can play knight bc5 here, but yeah, queen takes a2 was potentially missed. And now black's pieces have somewhat connected. The black rook will be ready to capture on f8 if the bishops get traded. Yeah, there are no immediate threats from black, but getting some pieces into play is obviously hugely beneficial. Rook h5. I guess the point is bishop h5. He wants to go knight bc5 here. Yeah, very exciting play. And I think very good decision in particular against 10 seconds, because it's going to be unfun to defend this with black. But if anyone can do that, probably Jan-Krzysztof can.
So you're saying picking anyone in the world, you would pick Jan-Krzysztof in this position with 8 seconds.
Maybe not as my first pick, but I think he calculates quite cleanly and he plays fast. And I think he, in a position like this, I would trust his hand, so to speak, to make decent moves. Still extremely scary, of course, because the king safety is not going to be available to him for a while yet. He is up some material now, which is cheerful for him because, well, he can give some of it back to secure the king safety in the future.
a3, taking a little time out, but of course, also taking his foot off the gas. And is the king crawling to safety?
Yeah, the pieces are now slightly coming back to normal squares. The bishop should be on g6, I think. Rook e7 is very useful, stopping, making it much harder for black to blunder knight f6 check somewhere because of the pin on the pawn on g7. Yeah, it looks like, as you can see, Jan-Krzysztof is quite nicely balancing around the 5-second mark, and yeah, he is probably just winning now, honestly. Queen takes c5. Sure. Yeah, queen takes c5 was stronger than queen takes d1, but it shouldn't matter. Like 5 seconds for somebody like Duda, 5 seconds should be plenty good enough, I think, in a position like this. Rook e3, yeah, it's just and Fabi just resigns. Yeah, that's a very, very important victory for Jan-Krzysztof, and they will, I think, get one more game in. So,
4-4-4-4.
And more French and more knight c2 French specifically in this one.
Yeah, that went well for Duda. The last game, nice, slow, strategic victory after he secured his structure. He broke through on the king side eventually. We shall see if Mr. Caruana has an improvement up his sleeve. Pawn to h4. Go f6. Come on, Fabi. Nah. He doesn't do it.
No. How do you... I mean, dc5, getting the knight from d7 once again towards the e4 square doesn't appear very nice, but stopping b5, b4 should be reasonably high priority here. So I don't know what the answer is. If the queen wasn't on g2, I would be much happy about having to play d takes c5, because at least knight e4 would not come with the tempo. I could play, I don't know, dc5, knight c5, knight eg4, and I could pretend that I'm sort of in control. But giving black so many tempi in a row is, it seems risky. Yeah, he goes, kind of has to go for this because...
Gives up his dark square bishop? It's a bishop.
It's a bishop for sure, yeah. This
And
looks...
that's one of the things, on a serious note, that took me a while early in my chess career that I used to think, but we have the good bishop, I'll put it here, and I'll be in great shape against the French. But you very often end up missing your quote-unquote bad bishop, because it does cover a lot of ground. I'm not sure how this particular position is, but in general, one should be very careful giving up that bishop. And I'm very surprised by the decision. Even here, I'm not sure if there wasn't something better. If you can go whatever, queen b6 or some more direct.
Yeah, queen b6. If black gets b5 before in a position like this, the white position could very easily just collapse. But I think probably white has just enough time to play a3 here, and just secure the queen side at least for the time being. But that's
yeah. I'm just wondering if we can get to play this structure. Anyway, it's a blitz game, so who cares? But I don't like getting the bishop. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think he's done it because he liked the outcome. I think he's done it because he couldn't find anything better. But his position is playable now because the king on f2, it goes to g3 very often in these types of positions and is very safe on g3. And he is very prepared for some kind of a pawn storm on the king side here. On the other hand, the c file is open, so black probably can play around it by just offering trades of the heavy machinery on the c file. Although taking twice, and I mean taking a rook c8 loses the h7 pawn with check, so that's not ideal. Which is probably why there is a pause now from Fabi.
So much hate in the Twitch chat. When did you turn on me, Twitch chat? We used to like each other. What have I done? Is it Lawrence? Must be.
What do you, apart from that one Among Us reference, where do you see the hate?
I find it all very hateful and upsetting.
Yeah, Fabi quite cleverly includes b3, a3, and now the tactic of bishop takes h7 followed by queen c2 check is unavailable because the c2 square has been taken away. That's a smart bit of footwork by Fabi.
Rook e1, keeping the rooks.
Yeah, that's a very committed
bold strategy.
Yeah, because like if you imagine the bishops coming off, the rook probably lands on c2 and white loses, but I think he estimates that bishop b5, bishop b1 doesn't really threaten him with anything. And then he can start doing something on the king side, which he has been building up towards for the entire game, like f5, f6, or some such.
CP Counter is asking if I need him on Twitch. No, so far it's okay. Thanks a lot, CP Counter. You keep the order in the Chess24 chat.
Order. System administrator has just resubscribed for the second month in a row. Thanks very much for the sub, you administrators person.
Thank you, system administrator. I also enjoyed the wordplay there because you don't expect that I thrown in, but it's there.
And thanks to Anomaly 77 as well. We welcome all the new subs here with our impression of, chuntering from a sedentary position.
Are we sure it's anomaly or it's N0-milli?
We're never sure of anything, but we just pick something and go with it.
Stale Milk 94 is saying if only Jan would dress up in leather. I think you're missing an A there, but who's counting? And carry around a whip. He's fixed the leather. Sorry. Shall I? Would that be good for the show? I'm not against the idea. CP Coutard, what do you think? Maybe we could get some uniforms for all Chess24 commentators. Like, I guess you guys saw the classic movie Dodgeball, like the uniforms they're wearing in the first round. Not against it whatsoever.
to h5, building the bathtub. As we know, this is one of the few things I get excited about in chess. Whenever someone has an advanced bathtub, I'm all focused. And Caruana seems to be sort of out of ideas. He's going bishop d8 to go queen a5, but even that won't win him entry or access to any squares on the queen side. So he's just biding his time, not unlike Joe, waiting for f5, g5, h6. Any breakthroughs here on this king side looks very, very dangerous for the world number 2, who, were he to lose this game, would fall behind for the first time in the whole match.
King f2 looks very, very unusual, though. It's
what a strange move.
I think he thinks that in order to push f5, he wants to put the king away, sort of further away from the h2ba diagonal. But yeah, it looks very inconcrete. I still like his position because all of these moves that Fabi is making, they will not really grant him any threats for some time yet. Like you want to play bishop maybe b6, rook c4 or something, but that just requires one response in rook d1, and you once again have no threats. So yeah, it's a very, very weird looking position, which might just be quite good for white for all we know. Rook g1 is a bit strange though. I think it's time to start doing some. Yeah, like it's time to play f5, and now we have to play rook d1, I guess. But maybe that was a bit of a bait, playing rook g1 there, hoping that Fabi spends 2 tempi on trying to attack the pawn on d4, and then we just calmly shrug and go rook d1, and all of these pieces are now completely.
So playing Fabi, it's a very strong game.
Yeah, this really is a very nicely played game, and f6 does appear to be crushing. Gf queen h6 is probably mate, and if you can't play gf, your position is about to really fall apart. Yeah,
and Fabi should have listened. Stop playing the French. He's overdoing this. He's been caught in some lines that he probably didn't check deeply in advance. Mm-hmm. And
yeah, that's it.
Very hard to play on field.
That's it. And after trailing 3-0 and 4-1, hang on a second. He won 5 in a row. That would appear to indicate he won 4 in a row.
Did not happen. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
4 in a row seems accurate.
Yeah, I think he won 4 in a row, which is, like, considering how the match started, is an incredible achievement. Looks like he took some time to warm up, but is now firing on all cylinders.
So Fabi performed an Audi, as we say in German?
Yeah, something like that.
Shall we recount if he really won 4 in a row? 1, 2, 3, 4. Sounds about right.
Yeah. When in doubt, just recount or something.
Yeah. CP Counter saying Duda won 3 in a row. That's also true, but he also won 4 in a row.
That's like the new achievements in Hearthstone, where they give you a little bit of something for every next victory. I'm gonna stop right there.
What do we do? Do we go on break? Do we continue just chatting? Now the chat is too mean to me. You can continue chatting. I'll go on break, but I think we are also about to play some very exciting commercials, because you guys need to know that you can currently buy Chess24 Premium membership at a 40% discount using the voucher code SPEED20, because it's 2020 and you can get 40%. So SPEED20 sounds like a very obvious code to me. There is also exciting stuff happening at our friends at Chessable. Nothing, of course, more exciting than Peter Svidler working on a new course that will be released at some point in this year or the next, I think is fair to say.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this short video on an extremely exciting project that I've been part of, and I hope that you will join in my journey to become a better attacking player by becoming a student of this course. Now, I've been working on a basically 29-30 hour video course on the art of the attack in chess. It's been a mammoth project for me. It's taken a lot out of me, but it's been so rewarding, and you can be rewarded as well by becoming a student of this course. Now, The Art of the Attack is one of the most famous chess books ever written. It's one of those books you have to have. Any grandmaster you talk to will tell you that this book is just the classic. It's a classic book on attacking. It was written by Vladimir Vukovic, who had a long life in chess, born in 1898 and died in 1975. A Croatian chess master who was a journalist, did various, but this is his Bible. And it really has been the main text on attacking chess throughout that time. This book tells you how to attack, tells you how to build attacks, when you should attack, how you should attack, how you should finish the attacks off, everything you need to do, defending, how to defend, how to look at your opponent's defensive strategies. Now, my aim as a grandmaster who creates videos and done my own videos, been in the game of creating videos for a long time, is to share the knowledge in that book with you in as fun and an educational way as I possibly can. So my way of doing that is by, of course, keeping as near to the text, but modernizing it and trying to get the key points across to you. Now, let's have a look at the contents very quickly. So the contents here is only 13 chapters, but each chapter is ginormous, and each chapter has so much video content that I've specifically done. And what I've done is I've taken the author's words, I've tried to be as close to them as I can, but giving my modern take on it and giving you the latest in attacking chess. I go through the history of chess, saying how it's evolved according to the author and up to modern days, how you can improve your game by learning and playing in the right way. And the things, really, the main things I'm trying to get you to do is become a better attacking player. After all, if you're a better attacking player at your moment, you'll checkmate him, job done, and you'll feel very rewarded in the process. So we've got many different areas within this book. It basically focuses on nearly every area I can think of to do with attacking chess. So attacking uncastled kings, how you go about that, things to look out for, patterns, what areas to attack, typical sacrifices, everything really. It's just ginormous. The other thing I personally liked about it, being a professional and creating video content and basically collecting data, is the stuff, the sort of games that's included in this are fantastic. They are the best sort of games I've seen anywhere else in demonstrating points. So a lot of effort's gone into finding the right things, and I spent a lot of effort, communicating that to you, and hopefully you become a student and join me, join yourself, treat yourself to this journey as well. Now, there's a range of different levels. It starts off quite basic, so this is kind of a book for everyone. Some of the patterns, checkmate patterns, right at the beginning, you can see just demonstrate standard formations that you will get. And as soon as you start to understand these patterns, it will develop into getting into more complicated ones. For example, we have stuff like this checkmate, very simple. And then as you go on, we even look at more atypical, not quite typical checkmates. They're all here. Everything is here. Let's have a look at the so-called legals mate. And this is a famous one in this position, where if black plays something like g6, you can give up your queen to checkmate on d5. All the famous checkmates there, and I'm sure a lot of checkmates that you haven't heard of. Like I said, it's been a real pleasure. I've put my soul into this course. I've learned a lot. I think it's even helped me become a better attacking player, even though that's what I'm known for. And I really hope it will do the same to you. I know it's big. I know it will take a lot of time, but you can dive in, dive out of the course, have a look at what bits of the areas you want to look at, come back to it. And I really try to get it across to you in a way that will improve your game. So do go ahead, buy the course, join the party, become a student, and become a better attacking player.
Special bundles with premium membership from Chess24. Super discounts on merchandise. Massive sales on courses from Chessable. Chessable and Chess24 bundles. With new deals appearing every day. Visit chess24.com/deals.
E5, it's E5 Patzers.
A complete repertoire against 1e4 based on 1e5, now available to study with Chessable's unique Move Trainer technology. The backbone is the Marshall Gambit against the Spanish, with 3 Knight f6 against the Italian. Jan Gustafsson has revisited all these lines he has played for 20 years and worked on as a second for Peter Lecco and Magnus Carlsen, amongst others, with the help of the most powerful engines out there, Leela 0 and Stockfish 10. This has led to many new discoveries and a repertoire ready to master on Chessable that can serve the student for a long chess career.
Maybe E4 doesn't exist after all.
E5, it's E5 Patzers.
And queen takes f3. Oh, what is going on? Oh, this is going to be a fortress. I just don't see any hopes at all. This is very easy. Just rook back and forth.
Taking chess to the next level.
Wow. Wow.
Wow, yeah, nothing else to say, wow.
Creating the future of the sport. Introducing the Champions Chess Tour. 10 months, 10 tournaments. The world's best players online and on TV.
Well, we wanted to do a historical top 50 of chess players of sort of all time, and to do that, we are using the statistics by Jeff Sonax, who has created a site called Chess Metrics. We've gotten some help from Frank Hofmeister, who is a well-renowned chess historian, but then we have still kind of added our own touch. And it's always going to be subjective, and there's no correct answer.
I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you agree with every single ranking, because usually when you publish lists, what could go wrong? Who would disagree with anything? But yeah, it's been fun, and I hope you like it.
It's time to take control of your journey towards chess mastery. Magnus Carlsen introduces Chessable, the definitive solution for studying chess. Move Trainer uses the science of spaced repetition to identify your strengths and eliminate your weaknesses. There's no need to set up a board, remember which page you're on, or keep track of all the moves you miss. Move Trainer empowers you to go from the opening to the end game with confidence. It's a seamless, effective, and fun way to study chess. Choose from one of the largest online chess libraries in the world, with hundreds of titles ranging from classic books through to our exclusive Chessable courses, including over 100 free courses. Get expert insights from International Master John Bartholomew, Grandmaster Sam Shankland, International Master Krzysztof Sulecki, Grandmaster Simon Williams, World Champion Magnus Carlsen, and hundreds of other instructors. Get started now and join our growing community of over 100,000 chess enthusiasts at chessable.com. Chessable, take control of your journey towards chess mastery.
Welcome back, everybody, to the very closely disputed match between Fabiano Caruana and Jan-Krzysztof Duda, the 3-minute portion has just kicked off. Caruana with the white pieces, playing yet another h4 Najdorf. Let's put.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah. I guess he did some repair work in the break, because that's very, very pointed preparation, and that's probably how that game was supposed to go before he really messed up with Queen E3.
To explain this position we've seen earlier, he played Queen E3, D4, and get under pressure. This time he blitzes out bishop to G5. Knight takes E4.
The line continues, and it's very striking how it continues. Knight E4, Queen E3, Knight takes G5. White doesn't even recapture that knight straight away. Goes Knight D5. Bishop E7 Bishop D6, not Bishop E7. Bishop D6 replied by Duda. HG Knight E7, Bishop C4. And this is the first time any of the players have started thinking. So clearly up to Knight E7, they were both very much in book. But now Jan-Krzysztof either doesn't entirely remember, or probably doesn't entirely remember, because Bishop C4 is definitely one of the, main two moves you would analyze in this position. Maybe even the first one that comes to mind. Developing another piece, supporting the knight on D5. Looks extremely natural.
Scary.
Yeah, looks like a position where one mistake could be the two mistakes at once. The first and the last one you ever make in this game with black. Knight F5 followed by something, I don't know. Yeah, B5 really does feel like Knight F6 check might be winning, right? Or coming close to winning at the very least. Knight F6, GF, Bishop takes E6, and it's very, very scary. But somehow Fabi decides against it, just goes Knight takes
A7.
I guess the point is B takes C4, Knight F5 is very strong. I assume this is why this was played. And yeah, if black has to play Queen takes E7 here, he is much worse, and white didn't even need to sacrifice. Yeah, just Bishop E6, FE, Knight D4, or G6, or Rook E1, or frankly any move.
Is on the board. Caruana taking his time here.
Yeah, because I think he feels he's winning, and he doesn't want to let it go.
Move you like to play.
Yeah. You really do feel like you're not even better here with white. You feel like you're absolutely winning. The king on E8.
Of castle, there's Queen D3 if we want to be cute as well. Yeah, so
yeah.
Not even castle.
Yeah, there's just no move. I guess you play something like Rook D8, and you hope that white gets distracted by picking up your entire queen side with Queen B6, and then you somehow survive to play. But normally what ends up happening is you actually get mated trying to get the king to some sort of safety. Maybe you actually bite the bullet and castle queenside, but that's also like, I think is an adequate representation of what I think about that position. Yeah, this is just very, very unfun for black.
Yeah, many options. Rook to D8 played.
Yeah. Understandable, but yeah, I think you have very, very low expectations of surviving this. Queen E4, I think, and then 94 probably just completely collapses this position. Just, yeah, it's Knight A5 also very logical, but I kind of like keeping the option of 94 in my in the back pocket there. Should still be very, very good for white, of course. I don't think the evaluation is likely to change until Fabi actually blunders something here.
They're playing 3+1 now, and Caruana is a minute ahead on the clock as well. Things are looking good, and he would need this point to equalize.
Yeah, Queen E4 very logical. Remains a very strong move for white because it stops black from even dreaming about castling kingside. Knight C6 is now a large threat. Yeah, it's just kind of impossible to make moves. You just stare at this position in absolute disgust and then eventually resign.
Don't stare, Jan-Krzysztof. Make a move. G6, Knight C6 is just
you just
devastating. He goes E5.
Yeah. Even here, I mean, Knight C6 probably is just completely game over because after Queen E6, I guess Knight D4, Knight F5 ends the game on the spot.
Rook h7, probably not horrible either, right?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of taste, more or less. And
g6, door 3.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Yeah, g6, h6, and then we rook f1, f7. At some point, we'll end the game. Maybe even immediately, because you cannot. After h6, rook f1, you cannot play rook f8 and then take with the king, because queen f5 picks up the rook on c8. So no, it's just completely lost for black. I don't think we need to say much more. Yeah, take on f8 and then queen b7 or something. We'll just end the game.
Nice game by Mr. Caruana.
Yeah, queen d5, queen b7, knight b7 probably is not bad either. Queen g4, sure.
Duda keeps making one move to prolong the game, though, which is all you can do in such.
Yeah, now bishop b7, knight c6, and the game finally ends because there is no stopping rook d8 mate.
No more prolonging.
Yeah, score is back to level with this. Yeah.
Nice game by Caruana, and yeah, showing he's taking this seriously. Got some killer homework. Probably he had the killer homework already and looked it up in the break, frankly, and got it in
yeah, that sounds like the most likely explanation there. Just rechecked what the notes say, because they had the 10-minute break between the time controls.
We're playing the Gioco Pianissimo, the very trendy slow Italian, and Caruana first to deviate from the most well-established path here with knight to h7, castles, obviously, the main line. Interesting. What does he want after knight f1?
Knight g5, I suppose.
Exchange the knight?
Yeah, I don't think we're playing for f5 here with the king on e8. That would be a little bit too much. I think we go like knight g5, queen f6, hope to trade some pieces before. I think we still go knight g5. You could start with queen f6. To have b5 knight e7 as a more comfortable option, so that it really does feel like queen f6 knight g5 are your moves, are the moves you want to make next, so that making sure that the queen gets to f6 is useful here.
No time for knight f8, g5 knight g6.
I think if he wanted to play that, there were better ways of him to go about things. Like, I think if they really want to play those types of El Shad openings, they just go d3 h6 on move.
d4, not messing around. Duda trying to open the center.
I think black just normally ignores it, goes knight g5 anyway, or bishop g4, or actually g5 here becomes a lot more topical, because with white having played d4, you want to put as much pressure on this pawn as possible without actually taking it, which is kind of a cute balance, because you can already take on d4, but allowing e5 knight e4 is normally not something you want to be doing.
Let's see how Duda approaches this. Goes b5.
Yeah, very logical.
Knight e7 without taking here, because that just gives white.
Yeah. You absolutely cannot take on b5 here. I think he's choosing between knight e7 and knight a5. Maybe sometimes they go knight a5, but it seems weird to. Yeah, it seems weird to do it here. I think knight a7 should be the obvious continuation here.
And just as I said, not here. He does go knight to a5. Still do not like it.
Yeah, I'm not sure why this choice had been made.
E2. Yeah, bishop e2 played, so that there's no bishop g4 in the near future. Yeah. Black now has to justify his play. Pawn grabbing just seems so risky. I'm not sure if there's any direct refutation, but it looks very unhealthy.
It just doesn't look right. Yeah. How do we even continue? I mean, you could. Yeah, I don't know. Knight e6. There's a lot wrong with knight e6 as well. Maybe we just castle and pretend that it's all going according to plan, and we are no longer really.
That's what he does. That's interesting.
Bishop a3 b4 is a plan, but I guess black just can play bishop b6 once you've done that. The knight still doesn't get picked up.
Does go bishop a3.
Yeah, well, maybe more relevantly, it creates a threat of d takes e5. So
if we just go rook e8, let's say.
Yeah, that's what
played.
Been played. Yeah. I think bishop b4, bishop b6 is the expected outcome there. Yeah, goes queen c2 for now. Just calmly improving the position of his pieces, not committing to anything. Hard to evaluate what's happening here. Not altogether. Takes bishop g4, I guess. Yeah, Fabi trying to kind of settle the question once and for all. Perhaps finally provoke white to take into taking on e5.
Takes on c4 is always a question.
Yeah, it might not be bad though. Yeah, takes c4 and yeah. Specifically because the knight is on a5. If it was on some other square and the bishop on b6 wasn't tied into the protection of that knight, black could immediately put a very good light piece on the d4 square, but not here.
No, he's getting somewhat outplayed here. Duda, a lifelong, I'm not sure if that's true, but very experienced Italian player, clearly knows the ideas in all these positions extremely well.
Yeah, I don't like this for black at all. I think it stems from the decision to go knight a5 once again. Like c5, bishop c3 now, or bishop a3 even. I don't know why I guess bishop f3 knight takes c4 was important not to blunder that.
That's the point.
Yeah, but yeah, this position would have been fine for black if not for the fact that there's this knight on a5, which you will have to spend like 5 tempi bringing back. For black here, you have to somehow get the bishop away from b6, play b6, b7. Sorry, b6, knight b7, and then try to maybe get that knight to some squares, but
that's some time.
Yeah, that's going to take absolutely forever.
Let's see if Duda can make something happen. In the meantime, some rook to d1. Knight d2 is trying to bring his knight to d5.
Yeah, that seems very logical, and also, honestly, just very unclear how black even meets that. Knight f1 here, yeah. Do you go rook d4?
Gonna be able to do it.
White can honestly just ignore rook d4.
Ignore that.
Yeah, like you don't even like interact with that idea. Yeah, so far, honestly, like an exemplary game from Jan-Krzysztof, starting from a certain point at the very least.
I feel bad now. I was yelling that Fabi should move on from the French opening. Turns out e4, e5, he's getting an even worse position out of the opening. But he started doing the shenanigans with h6 and h7.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Fabi could have played something much more mainstream against the Italian, and he wouldn't have been in this amount of trouble. But I think it's hard to entirely resist the temptation of playing some slightly offbeat things in these blitz events.
3-0 games. No, where are you gonna use your offbeat ideas? If not
exactly, here? Yeah, exactly. Like if you have something that you suspect might not be great, but is playable and is also fun and leads to unusual positions. Fabi actually stabilized to a degree. This is nowhere near as bad as it.
Putting pressure with all these rooks.
Knight takes c4 maybe was playable, and no, it wasn't. Sorry, yeah, it wasn't. But he's still he's made 100 moves with rooks in a row without really making any significant progress. And eventually, white probably will be able to play f4. And
this is the old Kramnik rule. If you have time, go g3, king g2. It always improves your position.
Pretty much, yeah. There might be a threefold on the table at some point, but yeah.
But he's got the king g2 and that saved him some time.
Sure. No, the bigger issue is now it becomes a bit of a mechanical struggle as well, because they're both playing pretty much in increments. Sorry. I seem to have a bit of a dry throat. Well, that's
knight c3. Is the pawn hanging? No. Rook c4.
The knight is hanging. Yeah, and the speed with which he spotted this as well, there was no pause whatsoever, because they were more or less shuffling back and forth until then, and then Fabi made one mistake in the shuffle and was instantly punished.
Sharp eye by Duda, winning another game. Good job by Jan-Krzysztof Duda. Reclaims the lead. And the theory debate continues. They are discussing this very narrow window of opening theory in the 6h4 Najdorf. Fabi scored a crushing victory with this move, bishop g5 last game. It looks like Duda hasn't checked it out, but goes for the line again. That's
an interesting choice. Yeah,
I'll figure it out over the board.
if you don't actually have an improvement prepared, why do you repeat the line? I'm sure you can play something else.
Going for this position again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Looks
B5.
bad.
B5 97. I would suggest is probably already too late to improve. You have to improve here. You have to make a stronger move here. But what move?
But he hasn't checked it. No, play anything else. Then you can't keep going for this.
This is very strange. Like he must have realized just how dangerous this position is just from playing the previous game where he made one mistake and was instantly completely lost. So yeah, very weird choice to repeat without repairing it in between. And it's very difficult to repair anything in between. They get no breaks between games, and I don't think you can successfully ask for outside assistance, even if it is allowed. There's just no time. There was time for Fabi to check his play because there was a break between 5-minute and 3-minute portions, but not for Jan-Krzysztof to do much now when these games are coming with like 1 second breaks between them. Yeah, he's done something forcing here. Yeah, he's done something forcing here, but yeah, it looks like whoa. And Fabi just goes bishop d3. Yeah, I have no idea. Bishop d5. I don't know. Rook d4 or I have no idea what this is.
e5. What does he want?
There's bishop f4 check in the end there. I think it actually is rook d4. Somewhat shockingly.
This is a deep idea. Maybe it's great, but to give the piece and then to maybe slowly regain it.
No, but I mean, 253. It's he's done some work on chess at some point in his life, and we are now seeing some results of that work. Queen c7, rook d5, bishop f4 is a problem, but you can give a check. I suppose queen e1 check probably is how you start here. And if you play bishop b6, I have rook d6 and bishop takes b5, right? That's the tactical.
So you're saying he prepared bishop d3 and rook d4, but now queen c7 caught him off guard?
I think maybe queen c7 is just not a very good move, because like I currently don't see how you continue after queen e1 check. I think you're in a lot of trouble there as black.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's just not featured, or perhaps the file just says rook d4 plus minus and ends there, and then now he finally has to figure things out. But yeah, queen e1 check is a very, very obvious way to continue. He was always likely to settle on that as a kind of a fallback position. Bishop b6, rook d6 is more or less lost. Queen e7, rook d5 also looks horrible because your pieces are still like completely disconnected. How do you even like keep the material balance here? Rook takes d6 is a threat. Okay, bishop f4 check. I missed that this exists. And now you can take and go king f8. But after knight c5, you're still in so much trouble here.
What was he thinking about?
I guess knight c5, g6 though. G6, king g7. Maybe you get some respite there. You could play c4 first, actually. Maybe c4 first is stronger. Trying to get to the pawn on f7 as quickly as possible if black takes.
He does go knight c5, g6. And he still has to find a way through.
Yeah, surprisingly, the bishop on f4 and knight on g3 protect each other really, really well. It's difficult for white to attack those pieces. You have rook d4 right now, maybe? But I'm not even sure that works. Like, it might not be great, and it also, I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, he does play rook d4. The point is, after bishop g5, rook g4, I think we win material, because bishop d2, rook d1, the pieces don't really run away. And if you have to play bishop c7 here, white gets some tempi to play maybe rook d7, rook e7 or something. Bishop g5 played interesting, because how is he planning to... He plans to go bishop e7, I guess, and somehow knight d7 is not winning. Just king e8 and hope this holds, but normally it doesn't hold. Like, you really have, I think, low expectation of this not losing. But what else do you do? Okay, this is clever. Yeah. He is giving up the knight on g3 and planning to go bishop h4 and play that endgame, which is worse for black, but not lost. Yeah, because the knight on c5 gets supported by b4, and then the queen side starts getting picked apart. King b2, king b3, c4, or a4 or something, and yeah, black is still in a lot of trouble here. But at least, compared to the previous game they played in this line, this one will sort of go the distance. He is not just straight up lost by move 20. Knight takes a6.
Still paying a steep price for repeating this, running into some nice homework and being under pressure from the get-go here. Duda. Rook e5.
Yeah, bishop somewhere. b5, I guess, maybe. Or c4 doesn't really matter a great deal. Rook f3, king a3. White normally is just so much faster because he, it will sound simplistic, but white just has more pieces on the board, so that ends up being the decisive factor. That's a cute try, actually. If the rooks come off and the pawn on g2 falls, that would be a huge, big issue for white. I'm not sure if the g2 pawn does fall, though. I guess you go rook g5, bishop f1, rook f5. I think this is what you do. Rook f5, rook f2 here. But bishop d3, e4, though, then has f5 in the end. That's very smartly played by Jan-Krzysztof, actually. Yeah, the g2 pawn survives, but then black picks up the c2 pawn, and that might give him some drawing chances. Bishop b4, f5, bishop somewhere. Rook takes c4. You could also start pushing the b pawn here. Yeah, maybe this just wins. b5, b6, b7. Bishop e4 here.
That's what he plays, trying to stop the h pawn.
That's very clever. And after f5, I guess we go b7 or something. Yeah, we don't really react. And now b7, rook d8, knight a6, and on knight d7, it's all the same. And I think the knight should be in time to return after g5, g4. Black just doesn't have enough threats. Yeah, I think you cash this in, and then the knight starts running towards the pawns, like knight c6, f4, knight e5. I think you go king f6 here probably to generate some uncertainty, but shouldn't be enough. The two pieces generally just hold the 3. Knight e2, bishop f3, and that construction never actually gets shifted. You can't get anywhere near those two pieces.
This is it.
Yeah.
Nice game by Fabiano Caruana. And
scores are back to level.
It's 6-6.
Mm-hmm. Have we had any draws yet?
I can't recall one. It's been very...
I think there hasn't been a single one yet, yeah? That's actually stunning. There's not as many normally as you would get in a classical match, of course, but you get some normally.
So far, the same number of draws as in the hit series, Queen's Gambit.
Yeah. I don't know if this features the same amount of completely ridiculous draw offers, though. Probably a lower number than there.
Yeah, that was one of in the generally very nicely done chess action. The tradition to offer a draw one move before resigning seemed a bit off. I'm not sure. Yeah. There was probably some thought behind it that it's meant to show the disrespect for her in her first tournament or something. Because I think it was mainly in the first tournament she plays. But
yeah. That was slightly overstated because it happened twice in that one episode. Once in a game not involving her, and then in her game as well, and it felt like that was maybe a little bit too much. So now we have a bit of a shift. We have the same Najdorf being discussed game after game, but in Duda's white games we now have the Italian being.
We switched to Italians.
Yeah,
and this is a very, very sharp line. In general, bishop g5 always makes these positions much, much sharper because you're daring black to play h6, g5 to break this king. Of course, also to break this pin. Of course, also exposing his king. Big questions always. Is bishop on g3 misplaced, or will it create trouble for black? Very complex positions.
Yeah, I've always been like, if you ask me when I was, I don't know, a 15-year-old kid, I would be like heavily on the side of this is a horrible bishop, and because it's there, black is just flat out better. And then currently I think nobody thinks that anymore. At the very least, it's a very unclear question with no settled answer. It's very much case by case basis. But yeah, as an Italian player, I only played the Italian with black when I was growing up. And if you gave me this position with black when I was growing up, I would immediately assume I'm doing fantastically well, which is probably completely incorrect, frankly.
Pawn to d4. Some questions. Do you go knight f4? Do you take? Do you do neither of the above? He does take knight g3, hg, which in a way helps safeguarding the white king. Very sturdy structure here. Of course, the question is the bishop good or bad? No longer exists since the bishop is gone. White should be somewhat better, no? Rook e1, start bringing that knight if possible.
Yeah, if all of that happens, or via c4 is also very, very sensible, because it creates additional ideas of maybe taking on b6, although I'm not sure how well do we want to actually take on b6. That might be more valuable than the bishop, who knows. Yeah, I think these positions are quite decent for white. Depends on whether black can develop something concrete on the queen or on the king side here. Bishop g4, h5, h4, some kind of play like that. If black gets somewhere very quickly, it's one thing. But if the knight actually lands on e3, and black hasn't really done much by that point, you should be liking this with white.
Knight c4 played. This looks highly unpleasant.
Yeah, this looks this looks dodgy. This looks dodgy. Bishop g4 sort of playing into the very telegraphed plan of playing knight c4, knight e3. I guess maybe Fabi thought this was impossible because, I don't know, e takes d4 and the pawn on e4 is hanging, but there are so many tactical issues with that. Knight b6, queen takes d4 check, or even c takes d4 and then rook e1 if you pick up the pawn on e4. Shouldn't work. f6 is, whoa, f6 is just, you're not enjoying yourself when you have to play that. Yeah, that's a move for sure. What is he even planning to play this, like bishop d7 or something? Because I think if he goes h5 here, he might be getting, no, I guess he doesn't get mated after knight g4, knight h4, but yeah, I mean, like, if you have to play bishop d7, knight d5, queen e8, like, you hate life with such a passion. g3, g4 is also not a mistake here. g4, g3, king g2, rook h1, and now we are attacking on the h file, not black. Yeah, this is painful. Yeah. Nicely restrained choice by Duda as well, saying I don't really have to hurry here. You really will struggle to develop any of these pieces to any kind of good squares, so I don't have to decide for now. Yeah, if we can get
Duda actually putting a lot of pressure with Fabi with the white pieces now. Like Fabi was getting bad positions in the French, now he's getting bad positions in this Italian.
Yeah, queen h5. We might be just giving mate now. Queen h5, knight a5 check, and the queen kind of lands on g6. Actually, I don't know how you even reply to queen h5 here. I think it might be close to GG's. That threat appears to be more or less unparryable. Yeah, bc4, bc. I mean, taking is not a mistake. I'm wondering why we're not just trying to win the game on the spot, but I mean, the queen h5 doesn't go away. You can still do it here. I wouldn't have opened any files for black on the queen side at all because I don't like the idea of, black ever being able to trade even a single rook here, but probably nothing really changed.
He's probably arguing that it will make his attack even stronger.
Yeah, sure.
Special tactics here.
Yeah, but it also represents some chance of quote-unquote counterplay, which currently there is none, and probably there never will be any.
g4.
Yeah,
I think really slowly. He just wants to knight.
Yeah, he wants to do it. He wants to do it without sort of ever having to calculate a single variation. Might also be extremely strong, but I really thought queen h5 was close to winning. Hard to criticize though. This is just so horrible. h5 played by Fabio. We can go knight. Okay, knight g3, knight h6, but we pick up the pawn on h5 with check and continue from there. Yeah. Getting completely outplayed in these Italians so far, Fabi.
Yeah.
Just completely outplayed.
By Duda. This is just...
Queen g4, queen h3, or rook e3, rook... Yeah, this is just...
Looks like Duda is an old master against somewhat weaker competition, and it's Fabiano Caruana on the black side, so this is very, very impressive.
Yeah, these last two games have been extremely well played by Jan-Krzysztof, who goes one up again, I guess, after this one, right?
Yeah.
And we have the first Petrov of the match.
Playing the Petrov against Fabi, who might know a thing or two about, in particular, this line is a sort of daring choice.
Yeah, but he also, I mean, it's his repertoire opening. He
of course.
This, many a time
and
himself.
He was getting crushed in the Najdorf, so he's switching to...
Yeah, it's just that he's switching to this, which is slightly striking because, yeah, Fabi is definitely one of the, I don't know, top 2, top 3, maybe even top 1 specialists of...
Yeah, this is a position that featured in the World Championship match where King b1 was played, Queen a5, c4, and Caruana drew with black in the endgame without any particular difficulties. a3 is a more ambitious trying to keep the queens on the board, which I think has been played. It was played very quickly after that match game. I can't quite recall by him. There's probably a bunch of games now. c4, bishop f1. Caruana.
Yeah, I have a feeling I've maybe even looked at this position at some point in my life. This is kind of very topical. This idea of c4, it looks strange because you give up the square on d4 for the white pieces, but you do get a lot of tempi immediately. You play knight e4, d5, queen a5. Yeah, and you start generating a lot of threats on sort of immediate threats on the queen side. It is very strategically committal, of course. If you don't succeed with your play on the queen side, it will cost you dearly.
Queen e2 played.
Yeah,
keeping
d5, d5 is logical.
Pieces.
d5 is logical. Already bishop takes a3 is a very serious consideration on the next move if it's allowed. So you have to think about your options very carefully. Knight d2.
Knight d2, do you go knight c3?
Yeah, I think knight c3 just wins on the spot, yes. So you would like to go knight d2 here, but I think you just completely cannot.
So you go bishop d4.
Fabi, yeah. Preparing knight d2, I suppose, now that we've dealt with the threat of knight takes c3. But there will be bishop g5 ideas there. I wonder if you sometimes even maybe sacrifice that exchange, but that seems like it shouldn't be enough for white. I mean, you get some compensation, but black's position is nowhere near compromised enough.
Black rook e8. Duda getting a good position in the Petrov. Plays b5, not messing around. Still knight d2, bishop g5 as mentioned.
Yeah, although there you can maybe go bishop b3, yeah, and actually maybe get to trade some pieces. Because without the queen on a5, you don't really have any sacrifices available to you that work. Yeah, and this is the risk you definitely run if you play this against Fabi, because I think it's very easy for white also to get confused in these positions, but Fabi probably knows. I like knight d6 though, just keeping the pieces on the board, a5 before, very much a plan. Rook e8 included because I think the threat was bishop h3. This is why we've played rook e8 here, to support the bishop on a7. Bishop g2, and now I think black probably has enough time to... Hang on, bishop takes d5. Is bishop takes d5 a threat here? Probably is, right?
F5 plate. Looks like Duda has this all under control. G3, bishop g2 looks very slow. I doubt that this was Mr. Caruana's plan. It just looks bad. Knight f3.
I don't know. It looks very risky strategically, but I don't know if it's straight up bad or.
95 trying to
doesn't really look great though. I will like 95. I did not expect, and I don't really think it's fast enough because after queen c7 you don't really have much in the way of a continuation, and b4 is about to happen. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe Fabi has something here which I just don't immediately.
No, he's just getting crushed.
And that would be very, very bad news for him because the match was kind of going from 50% to +1 to one of the players for a while now. If Duda actually establishes like a 2-point buffer here, heading into, I mean, there's still probably 4, maybe 5 games left of 3+1. 5 is maybe a bit optimistic. 4 probably games left of 3+1 after this. But yeah, if Fabi starts trailing significantly before the bullet, he is in trouble.
Bishop h3 is mentioned, but then knight takes d4 wins material. Probably no. I don't see how this works.
Yeah, I don't think it works out. It's a very thematic move. Yeah, queen h5, g6, yeah, and queen f3, at least generating some maybe dreams of knight g4 somewhere. And b4 a4. But yeah, if you have to go b4 a4, you kind of know you're in trouble.
How do you proceed? You go BC or?
I would like to go BC, like c3, d4 or something, but it might not be winning. Rook b8 would be 8, never really a bad idea here, because I don't think white actually has any threats. h4, I think it's not an attacking move. I think he's stopping bishop g5 check more than anything else. So it's a weird prophylactic move more than an attempt to open anything on the king's side. I think with the inclusion of rook b8, bc3, bishop takes d4 has become even stronger than it was on a previous move. Should be close to winning, I would assume. Yeah, and that's what Jan-Krzysztof does. If you take with the rook and bishop, yeah, you have to take with the rook and bishop, because otherwise queen b6 in this position would have been winning if this were a rook on d4 and not a bishop. But Duda probably still very much in control. Bishop c3, bishop b4. Yeah, just trade that bishop away, and then you never have to worry about anything happening on the king's side ever again. Although, yeah, knight 6 is a clever move here, unless bishop d5 wins, but it doesn't, no. Yeah. And now we take on a5, and we somehow hope that the knight doesn't get picked up. But it probably does, right? Hang on a sec. Ah, yeah. I was about to argue for rook e6 and then b3, but maybe this is even smarter.
Fabi fighting very hard. Still in trouble.
Yeah, but there's bishop d5 there. No, Fabi is fine. Because rook d8, bishop d5. Yeah, you're just not worse anymore with white here, right? Bishop d5 and then king to d4 and push the c-pawns. You're probably completely fine now. That's very nicely defended by Fabi. Showing that resilience that he's always had.
He's always had in classical, and blitz, I'm not sure. Probably as well, but sometimes, at least if things go wrong for him in a tournament, he stops caring so much about the individual games. Generally, of course, one of the toughest players to beat from any position.
Yeah. And yeah, I think he's obviously completely fine with that setup on the c file, but I don't think he ever wins this position. Although, I mean, yeah,
Fabi.
Yeah, I'm wondering if white can ever be really better here, but probably not. Probably it's a little bit too stable. You can't really shift this setup, no matter how many times you try to give the tempo back to black, right? Because you don't really want to play c5 check, although. Maybe you do.
Looks actually, like he is playing for a win, actually. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he can't lose. Of course, he's playing for a win. Yeah, he's just. Yeah. I would have played c5 with the pawn still on f3, because I think having the e4 square for the bishop was kind of useful there. And now Duda can just go king d8, king c7. I think he always could play king d8, king c7 there. Rook g8, g5, or rook e8, e5. Yeah, this is. Yeah, I mean, do you now run some risks of losing?
Well, still a draw, but
yeah, it should still be a very comfortable draw for everybody, basically. Yeah.
So it doesn't look like Jan-Krzysztof has any obvious ways to make progress. And being up 2. Is he up 2 or 1? I can't.
No. He was, up 1, we thought he was going to be up 2 after he wins this one.
But yeah, fair enough.
This one is a draw, so he's still.
Yeah, of course.
He's still only up 1, but he now has another chance to demonstrate his superior understanding of Italian. Yeah.
Also switching openings.
Wow, we now get a thematic Petrov matchup, and yeah, Fabi trailing in the match goes for arguably the sort of least adventurous line of all the Petrov. I think you're supposed to go d takes c4 here. Yeah, I thought so.
This setup, I'm not sure who came up with it, but I guess it was popularized by Chinese players who've contributed thousands of ideas, probably literally, to the development of the Petrov. And this has become a main line, this bishop f5 and then bishop e7, if not the main line.
Yeah, I think the specifically Li Chao and Yuan Yi and the other Chinese players have played unbelievable amounts of volume in this line and have fine-tuned it to a tremendous extent. C4 d takes c4, at least we get this structure, which is quite lively compared to the very, very symmetrical structures you get if white goes for all the 92, 96 lines where the bishops get traded. This is probably fine for black, but at the very least you get active piece play and no immediate symmetry.
Keep your cool saying Yu Yang was the first to use bishop f5, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure who was first, but the names Peter mentioned are certainly ones that come to mind. I'm assuming we've also seen this in Wang Hao games, maybe who you found.
Yeah, I think so,
it's, this has been.
It's a common theme. Knight b4 is an interesting choice because 95 appear like, why are we allowing 95 so happily? I guess we go, no, we don't. Like, what's the plan there?
A3 plate. I don't care.
Yeah, that's also an interesting choice because I would have not liked to give away my bishop on c1 so easily. But yeah, queen takes c1 is very clever because f4, I think it's well established. It's probably the best square on the board for this piece. You get this structure from all kinds of openings. I think it's like eerily reminiscent of all the Karpov-Kasparov games, which happened from actually the Queen's Gambit declined. The bishop g5 takes f6 lines. These are surprisingly dangerous for black sometimes. And they're not at all easy to play. You often struggle to deal with the active pieces and the control over the e-file.
Yeah, best position Caruana's gotten out of the opening with black in quite some games after, yeah, things got ugly in the French, didn't really work out in the Italian. The Petrov is the one that is bringing him some stability here.
G4, I expected G4 to happen here. You kind of want to start pushing your advantage while black hasn't stabilized completely. G5, this I didn't see coming, but it does look quite logical just to stop white from achieving G4, G5 himself. But yeah, these types of positions are like genuinely risky for black, obviously. Although this setup is surprisingly sturdy, I was trying to find a way to like push f4 or h4 or something and start breaking things apart on the king side, but it's not obvious how you achieve anything. Rook c8, I think, is with the idea of playing rook c7, rook e7, and fighting for the e-file that way. And only after all that, you probably play rook f8. Yeah, rook c7 is a very useful move. Connects the black pieces better, protects some potentially vulnerable squares. And I think the biggest issue for white is how do you actually generate any improvements. Knight on c3 is, I mean, it's a beautiful looking piece, but it goes nowhere. So he goes knight e2. But that allows black additional ideas, like knight e4 already here might be playable in some cases. Also, I'm not sure if f4 is even threatened, so you could still play rook e8 or rook e7. And as Buxanais correctly says, it's quite remarkable that Fabi is actually up so much on the clock in a 3-minute game.
Yeah, 20 seconds for Duda. Who, yeah, I've been impressed with today. I mean, there's never been a doubt for quite some years now what a tremendously gifted player he is, but he's also been putting a lot of pressure on Caruana in what I would assume would be Caruana's big edge in a match like this in the opening preparation department. So Duda, going places, and you've mentioned how he crushed Sergei Karyakin qualifying for this event.
Yeah.
It's just
White finally did manage to push f4. He still has no real threats, but maybe he can sort of start repositioning his rooks on the f-file, and maybe some threats eventually present themselves. I've been trying to find a way for black to play knight e4 here that works, but I don't think it ever works because white always just takes with rooks. Knight c8, well, that's unexpected. I guess he wants maybe knight b6, knight d5, or at least to have that as an option maybe, but I don't know how happy black would be playing knight d5 in positions like this, because it closes down maybe the most obvious avenue of counterplay that black normally has.
Duda speeding up down to 6 seconds, not like he has a choice, but his position maybe has improved somewhat. And
yeah, I think
Fabi seems to struggle to find a plan now.
Yeah, h4 is now a very large threat, so you have to actually do something. You can't really pass anymore, and it's not obvious what the move is. Queen d6, and after h4 he wants to go back to f6.
Yep.
And h5. Yeah, this might just collapse for Fabi now. Because if the bishop goes to h7, knight f7 might be... Maybe you can go queen takes d4 there.
Oof.
Yeah, I mean, it looks scary, but if it works, in particular against 3 seconds, it's just such a shockingly effective idea because you have to start burning time. Yeah, and this is fine for black, maybe better for black even. So yeah, this is nicely solved by Fabi, and he's still sort of in control on the clock. Knight f5, we take on c3, we go knight a4 or something, I guess. Yeah, or even rook. No, I think knight a4 is clever here. You can also do this and go knight a4 there, and yeah, black is definitely playing for a win here. I don't know if he can
win this.
Yeah, but
probably white isn't time yet.
Yeah, probably.
King can't run too far because then the g pawn is an issue.
No, I thought you could just play b5, a5 before with the king on g5. Like, hang on a second. Now he probably does win this, right? Like, why wouldn't he? Yeah, this is just a healthy pawn up. You can go a5, b5, b4. You can do this as well. Yeah, you should be converting this normally. I would not be very happy about giving white this much king activity. This is sort of exactly how you don't win this position, by giving white immediate counterplay against the queen side. This now looks like it might be a draw. Because yeah, the bishop should be able to hold the h-pawn, and the king will be able to pick up the entire queen side. This looks like a missed opportunity for Fabi, honestly.
Although
it's still not a draw.
The
yeah,
engine seemed to indicate it was a draw all along, but obviously Fabi seemed to have good chances there.
Yeah, bishop h3. I mean, it shouldn't really matter.
Yeah, you can never block off the bishop from controlling the pawn here forever. This is just a draw.
Yeah, definitely a missed opportunity, because even if it wasn't strictly speaking winning, I think he could have generated a lot more problems for Jan-Krzysztof when he won the c-pawn, and yeah, now this is.
Yeah, it felt like it had to be lost. Now stalemate. Duda dodges one.
Remains +1, and there's 11.5 minutes left, which probably means we have 2 more games of 3+1 left, and we have third Petrov in a row, and the exact same line makes an appearance, which is very understandable from Jan-Krzysztof's point of view, because he got a... Hang on, did he mix up something? Because he definitely played c5 in that one, right? Bishop d3, c5, rook h1.
c5 is the main line. I'm not sure if bishop e6 is on purpose. I've never seen this move, or if it's a mix-up.
It doesn't really look like this is something Europe would be very happy with. Like, why do you give white these tempi?
Yeah. Looks like the computer bar is frozen, by the way, and the end game was probably indeed lost earlier.
And yeah, until the Petrov, there were no draws. But now that the Petrov appeared on the board, we've had 2 draws in a row, which is somehow very fitting.
Not exactly because of the dull positions they were getting.
Not at all, but still, things are, everything is fine with the world when the Petrov, despite an incredibly fighting chess and very sharp positions in both games, is the only opening that actually gives us draws in this match. I like White's position here. I feel like bishop b6 may have been a sort of a mouse slip, kind of a mouse slip where basically you make the second move of the variation. You kind of assume you've already played c5 rook h1. I've done this once or twice in my life. Although
it happens every now and then, not that often though.
Yeah, although now that I missed knight h5, so maybe Duda is just fine. I thought the bishops will survive both of them, but if one of them gets traded, black is not really, slightly worse, but shouldn't be such a big deal. Unless the bishop from d3 gets to d5 very quickly, and then you do suffer. Queen d7 I like here, protecting b7 and also unpinning yourself so that you can play bishop f6 or something, or bishop g5, or bishop h4 even. Bishop h4 is the threat here. Oh, sorry, no, I mean after f4, of course, not straight away.
Looks like another draw in the making.
Yeah, it could very easily be. And then we might get, but they never end this game in a draw straight away. They play it out. If they just agree to draw here, they could actually get 2 more games in, but I think it's highly unlikely it gets agreed.
They both haven't seemed to be into agreeing a lot of draws, right? I don't know what the rules are, but I don't think that's how they roll.
But this is sort of the closest they will ever come, I think, to a situation where you could definitely make an argument for it, because like king f8, rook e8 are next 2 moves. And I think you are supposed to take on e8 there, because otherwise you might become you might be slightly worse. And that position is kind of very dead.
Close match. Let's see if Fabi can hang in the 1+1 section that will follow after this one. So far, it's been exciting, Jan-Krzysztof Duda, and showing us that he's just proper scary. But Caruana hanging in there.
Yeah, draw grid. This might give us 2 more games.
The white pieces for Mr. Duda.
Yeah, the first non-1e4 game of the match, right? As far as I can recall.
That sounds correct. We are getting a Nimzo Indian c5, knight e2. Bit trendy here, knight f3, of course. The main line where not a lot of progress has been made from White's perspective after d5 in recent years. But Duda goes knight f3. And Caruana will probably just stick to main lines. d5, cd5, ed, dc. This is a tricky little line. Knight bd7 is the principal move. Bishop g4 also possible. Let's see how well Caruana knows the sideline. He seems not overly surprised.
Yeah, he seems fine with all of this. I don't know about bishop b2. I really have no clue what's happening here.
Yeah, I wanted has been seen before.
Yeah, I wonder why you start with bishop b2 and not bishop d2, but I guess it doesn't really matter much. You still get pretty much the same position.
So basically black has an isolated pawn, but it's trying to generate enough piece activity. Often the knight will also go to e6 to support some d5, d4. Knight d4, I'm assuming there's some check on d3. Fabi knows what he's doing here, basically. a3 forcing this, and now the question is black in time to extract a concession before white consolidates?
Bishop d4, you go knight e6, or?
Guess knight e6. I'm not sure if he has.
Maybe some a5, a4 could be argued for, but yeah, this is sort of the normal plan here, and yeah, it looks like white should still be somewhat better in these types of positions, but I think they've been sort of safely held by good players with black for a while now. In particular, like Fishy, I think is very untroubled in these types of positions.
No, I'm sure it's tenable, but I would still consider it a good outcome of the opening. For white, I'm not sure how easy it is for black to hold this together.
Yeah, I'm surprised this is the outcome, because I would have assumed if you go for this line, you actually hope to sort of equalize mathematically, because this is not equal.
Yeah, after bishop d2, I'm not sure, I could be wrong, but if memory serves, you can go knight e6 without bishop f5, and then I'm not sure if you can just push.
Yeah, this I would very much expect to happen, because the position they're playing right now, maybe you don't lose, but you don't enjoy playing it at all. I'm a bit surprised, in particular considering that he's trailing in the match. But I guess he just feels no urge to deviate from what he believes are sort of the quote unquote correct options.
Yeah. We should mention that our computer evaluation bar got frozen. We'll fix it in the break, but I don't want to close down the program because of it. So ignore it. 27, 25.
Yeah, I think Fabi doesn't mind. I think getting this endgame is sort of the expected outcome, and having white take on e5 with the knight, which means he probably needs to spend a couple of tempi bringing it back to f3, and d4 gives black enough time to somehow consolidate, perhaps go rook c8 here, and just try to simplify or consolidate enough to not be in much trouble.
Do you go back, or knight f3 is the bishop g4 maybe?
Yeah, allowing bishop g4 is probably not great. f3 knight d6 also doesn't look quite right, because the knight on e5 gets a bit stuck. Yeah, why are we allowing rook c7 though is my question. I was going to argue for rook c8 on the previous move. This is very concrete. I guess his point is rook takes b7 f6, and then if the knight goes back to f3, you have knight c5, and there are some back rank issues. But that's once again sort of hang on. There's knight g6 there. How clean is any of this? Like, why can't we take on b7? Maybe you go knight c5 first and then f6.
Duda will spend a minute, not literally, to figure out if he can take the pawn.
Yeah, I think it probably ends up being some kind of a weird endgame where white with knight g6, knight e7, check picks up that exchange but loses the bishop on d3, and black is probably fine in as the final outcome. Yeah, he goes rook c1, but now Fabi will take go rook c. No, he doesn't. No, he goes. Yeah, that's even smarter. Yeah, knight d6, and then we trade all the rooks without even allowing bishop takes e4, d4. And those endgames can sometimes be tricky.
Without rooks, winning potential is severely limited. Although, of course,
yeah, people have won these games, but not very often. Do you go knight c4 here? I was wondering. Probably not. Yeah, probably no need to change the structure, because it was forcing white to take.
It might be lack of chess understanding.
Yeah. I mean, the king gets to c5 there, so maybe it was playable, but you don't need to. I think the biggest factor there is that you really don't have to do anything here, because you are supposed to hold this.
By putting your pawns on dark squares, ideally without losing any of them. But yeah, g5, f6, a5, b6, and chill is usually good enough.
Yeah, g5.
h5, wow.
Yeah, h5 is a bit surprising, but I guess he is correctly estimating
that h4 is fine.
Yeah, it's impossible to stop h4. I would sort of consider playing h4 just to prompt gh and then play, but it probably doesn't do much.
Knight b5. This is sort of a draw for this. You can take.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, you take, you play f6, king d6, and yeah, it's pretty much never lose these positions with black.
No, you try bishop a4 and bishop b3. I think even with the bishop on e6, there's no breakthrough. There are all kinds of Zugzwangs in the old textbooks and triangulations, but they don't really materialize in the real world, do they?
Yeah. In particular, if he could, like, I think that the reason there's even a discussion here is that he cannot really get the bishop to c6 in time. h3? No, h3, g4. I don't think you play h3 here.
And this is sort of daring. No, bishop f7, e4. At least you lose a pawn. Might still be a draw, but
yeah, he might have to play h3 now, because like bishop b7, I think he's lost the pawn on d5 either way, and including h3 and g4 may have been better. Because like, what is he doing here? What the?
This
I mean, might still be fine, but like you really did not need to allow this. Yeah, the issue for white is that there really is no winning plan outside of f4 and d5, and then so many pawns get traded that you don't actually make significant enough progress. Black just goes fe5, king e7, and holds that position. But yeah, obviously Fabi would have preferred not to have to defend a pawn down endgame here.
Yeah, this is odd.
Yeah, normally you do it in a cleaner fashion where this doesn't happen. Yeah, as long as Fabi doesn't do what I normally do in positions like this and puts the bishop on the wrong square where it gets just picked up because he misclicks horribly, I think he doesn't lose.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he will do that. And wow, just draw a grid. He doesn't even.
No, I think he stumbled into a threefold.
He stumbled into a threefold. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he stumbled into a threefold. Of course, you go e5 check eventually, and you try there, but yeah.
So this was the last game of the 3+1. Probably was.
Yeah, and by shuffling around for 25 moves in this position, Duda effectively killed off the 3+1 session. So they will start the bullet momentarily. I think this break is not as long as the one between 5 and 3.
Yeah, we'll use the break, play a clip or two, point out the code SPEED20 that gives you 40% off on the Chess24 pre-membership that allows you to challenge a lot of the world's best players today. Vidit played in Banter Blitzes, gives you access to all the video series, all the good stuff, and we'll be back with the 1 minute portion in a minute. Thank you so much for watching.
Greetings and welcome to 100 Endgames You Must Know. This work was first published as a print book in 2008. I have a copy of it myself. The author is Grandmaster Jesus de la Villa and the publisher is New in Chess. Now, a few years ago, with the help of New in Chess, we were able to release this content as an interactive move trainer course here on Chessable. And since then, it's become one of our most popular courses, and thousands of you have enjoyed studying endgames with it. And that's still a fantastic way to embrace this material and learn it and improve your endgame skills. But as of the making of this video in January 2020, I'm happy to announce that I have just completed a video accompaniment to 100 Endgames You Must Know. So you now have the option of studying this material along with my video explanations. This was an extensive project. It took about 3 months of continuous work. I recorded a video for each of the 100 endings, and for many of the endings, it required multiple videos because there are deviations and informational lines. This resulted in over 200 mini videos that our Chessable team edited together, synced with our move trainer, and made it a seamless learning experience. So I'm super excited about this, and I do believe it will help improve your understanding of this material, especially for those who may have given up on some of the more difficult parts of 100 Endgames. I talk about them in detail. So let's take a brief look at the course. I won't make this an extensive review by any means, but just to show you how the videos work along with the course. 100 Endgames You Must Know is beautifully laid out. That's one of the reasons I've been recommending it for my own students, chess acquaintances, people who follow me on YouTube, and why I've used it for my own endgame study. It's very logically laid out, and having the 100 endings and perhaps even setting yourself a goal of learning X number of endings per week is just so helpful. So there are 16 chapters, beginning with an intro as well as the basic endings. There are 2 tests throughout 100 Endgames You Must Know. There's a basic test towards the beginning, and then there's a final test to truly see if you know the material. In the middle chapters, we get into the meat of the course. So knight versus pawn, queen versus pawn, rook versus pawn. There are a number of piece versus pawn scenarios, even rook versus 2 pawns. Then it gets into minor piece endings. So same color bishop endings, bishop versus knight. Everyone's favorite, opposite color bishop endings, notoriously drawish, but very complicated. There are extensive sections on rook endings. So chapter 11 here, rook and pawn versus rook. probably the most important chapter in the entire course, because those are absolutely critical endings that happen very often. Rook endings are the most common types of endgames in chess. Also, rook and two pawns versus rook, pawn endings, another very common type of endgame. They can be surprisingly complicated. And then other material relations. This is where you get things like bishop and knight versus king, knowing how to execute that fundamental checkmate, and also some very complex stuff like rook and bishop versus rook. And then, as I mentioned, there's a final test and an appendix. So for the videos, I recorded videos for each of the endings. The only thing in the course that I didn't record for the videos are the basic test, the final test, and the appendix. We chose to omit those mainly for length considerations and also to keep the price of the course down. It's possible we will add those in the future, but the 100 endings are the most important, and I wanted to make sure I covered those thoroughly. So if we click into a chapter, let's look at chapter 4, Knight versus Pawn. So we can play the videos. Just going to mute this just to make sure I don't hear my own self. So you can watch the videos straight through if you like. And if you want to filter based on the lines, you just click this button, filter based on video. And whatever position is displayed and whatever ending I'm talking about, it will display down below. So this is ending 10, knight versus a 7th rank pawn. So you can easily embrace the video content and look at the line as well. Another way that you can interact with the video content, let's say you're going through looking at the variations. A lot of people don't know about this feature on Chessable, but if you click the little camera icon, so let's say positions 3.7 and 3.8, if you click the little camera icon, it'll snap directly to that position. I want to give a big shout out to Christopher on our Chessable team. He's our video guy, and he did a phenomenal job with this course, syncing everything up. You can imagine syncing 200 endings, how tough of an editing job that is, and making it look clean. So clicking that little camera icon on any of these endings will snap it right to the relevant position, ending 15, position 3.1. As I mentioned, there are often multiple positions per ending, that one not included, but so nice to have that ability to seamlessly go from position to position. So I do hope you enjoy not only 100 endgames you must know, which is a fantastic endgame work. Big credit to Grandmaster Jesus de la Villa, as well as the publisher New in Chess for producing this work. But I also hope that my videos will provide you not only with enjoyment, but also a lot of value in improving this absolutely critical stage of chess. And I want to also mention that if you have any questions about this course, please do drop us a note, either in the forums for 100 endgames you must know, or directly in the positions itself. I will be providing support for this course, so I would love to hear your feedback and answer any questions that you have. So thanks for watching, happy studying, and enjoy the material.
Welcome back to the final portion of the very close match between Jan-Krzysztof Duda and Fabiano Caruana. Jan-Krzysztof Duda is in the lead by 1 point, is that correct? 9-8, and we are about to go into the bullet portion, half an hour of 1+1 games, where we suspected Duda might have an edge, but everything has been, a tough fight. So would be way too early to write off Fabiano Caruana. Peter Svidler, how are you feeling?
Feeling fine and excited to watch this because, I think if this match has proved anything so far is that it's very difficult to call who has an edge where, as you've said in the previous portion, Duda, somewhat surprisingly, actually seemed to have the edge on Fabi in some of the disciplines, so to speak, which are normally considered very much Fabi's domain. In particular, the way he continued outplaying him on the wide side of not one but two openings was quite impressive. So it would be very true to form if what followed was Fabi just utterly dominating the one portion of the match where we kept on saying this clearly has to favor the younger player. We'll see in a moment. It should be very interesting.
It is 1+1, so it's not pure bullet, not 1-0. they do get an extra second. So it's obviously fast-paced, but there will not be a lot of flagging. I think both have shown themselves capable of making moves with that 1 second increment. And we're about to resume the action. Whoever wins this match is going to face Wesley So, which would be a very, very tough match. Wesley, I think, clearly one of the best blitz players in the world, but the winner of this one, not exactly a pushover. So
no,
things will get obviously even tougher in the next stage. MVL Aronian, another fun quarterfinal matchup.
Yeah, and Magnus awaiting the winner of the final match in the last 16, the winner of Artemiev Giri, where I think Magnus himself said that he would prefer to play Artemiev because he thinks Artemiev is a stronger player. I think was the quote, right? If I'm not
there might have been a much in there, but you never know if he also maybe wanted to tease Anish a little bit.
Yeah, pretty sure that was part of it, but Artemiev Carlsen would genuinely be a very, very interesting match. I think Artemiev is one of the people playing currently who is really completely unafraid of Magnus in shorter formats, at least. They've played some stunning games over the board. But of course, everybody wants, I think, Magnus to play Anish just for, everything that would surround that would be fun to observe.
There's a question if that is Nakamura, the Twitch streamer that we saw in that tournament tree there. It is indeed.
Yeah. He can play a bit, that guy. He is not half bad at chess.
Yeah. I don't think it's a stretch, with all due respect to guys like Artemiev, that Nakamura and Carlsen in this format have to be considered the favorites, no?
Yeah, I think it's quite clearly sort of the quote-unquote expected final, despite the absolutely stacked field. You assume they will somehow navigate to play each other in the final, and yeah, that would be very hard to call. Both of them seemingly in blistering form recently, and yeah, if that actually does materialize, it will be very, very interesting to watch.
Sure. For you, you're not being facetious, because the Twitch chat, sometimes rightly, sometimes not, but in general rightly, is on to me that I'm not always very interested in every match. You genuinely enjoy watching chess, no?
Actually, it depends on who plays. I don't watch every single. I've missed some matches in this tournament, for instance, and it's and I've missed some and regretted it, and I've also watched some and then thought I probably should have watched something else. I think in this format, if it's not very close, if let's say if the 5-1 goes decisively in the favor of one player, very often you get like an hour and a half of people going through the motions.
But let's say there is, I don't know, Wesley against Duda or a big Hearthstone/cricket match. What's higher on your viewing list?
Well, I'd need more details about the Hearthstone event, but
I promise I'm not qualified enough in Hearthstone.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, but
two top players playing each other with high stakes.
I have 3 screens. I am not actually obliged to choose, which is probably how it would go. Honestly, I have enough screen space right now to watch a great number of things at once.
So how do? You just switch your head from one screen to the next? Isn't it very hard to focus on different things?
Well, the main screen I have right now is like 35 inches.
Wow.
So you really don't have to turn your head around very much. There's really plenty of real estate there.
Another Petrov is being debated here. The time control got shorter. The opening did not change. And Caruana sticks to this knight c3. Arguably the most critical line. Here we are.
Yeah, this is a bit of a deviation from what you assume are the main lines, but this idea has existed for a while, trying to well, many moves all at once. Yeah, black should normally be fine, but these positions do get quite sharp often. Bishop b5 is a weird choice because I don't think you can go bishop c6, and then the question is, why have you played bishop b5? I mean, bishop c6, bishop d4, c takes d4 doesn't actually lose, but it also isn't.
He went bishop c6 probably, having said a.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but this is very comfortable for black now. Black has no issues whatsoever, I feel. Also, queen e8 probably forces the queens off. Maybe not. Maybe you could play bishop b3 there. Yeah, no, this definitely does force the queens off. The pawn on g2 is protected by bishop d4. Yeah, maybe black is ever so slightly better, but not really. I think it's just equal. After something like f3, rook e2, you don't really get very far with either color. And yeah, rook hd1 is definitely like a draw for, or at least it could have been a draw for, but Fabi declines to take on e2 and go like rook d2, rook d1, which he definitely could have. I guess now that it's down to the 1 minute portion, he is going to play every game to the end, which I think probably is correct.
Why? He's behind. No, shouldn't he be interested in ending the game quickly?
So yeah, exactly. I was because of just how few actual winning chances you have in a position like this, you probably should be aiming to wrap this up as early as possible.
All right, this is a draw. Yeah, which means Duda will keep his narrow lead of 1 point.
Yeah, this is not a very. You could go king e4 and like create some excitement here. I'm curious why Fabi didn't go king c3, king d4 when he could. It's still a draw after king e4, but you can definitely kind of unnerve your opponent a little bit here. 5, yeah, take on g3.
Is this still a draw?
I am no longer so certain. Yeah, probably is, but like, why have we allowed all this? This is a bit bizarre. You really did not need to allow any of this. Probably is actually still a draw. G3, bishop b8, yeah, and actually, why bishop b8? You have to have bishop d8 after king h3. I feel like if you don't go bishop b7 here, you're dead. If you go bishop b7, you're dead to g2. He's lost this game.
Yeah,
that's going to sting. Yeah, that's going to sting quite a bit.
Wow, yeah, that's a big one. He is now down 2 points with not that many games remaining. This might be. Well, it's too early to say the decision, but should Caruana lose this match, he's going to look back to that game. Another Nimzo has played Duda this time around. Instead of knight f3, tries pawn to a3. And Caruana goes for c5. Generally, theory says dc4 is a cleaner equalizer, but probably being 2 down, he wants an unbalanced structure. Goes for this, which is very, very risky strategically for black. But he has to mix it somehow. Rook a2 is a typical maneuver, intending knight g3, rook e2. All these things have been sort of established since the, I think, classical game between Botvinnik and Capablanca. h5, h4 is a modern engine approach, but I did look at this once, and I don't think it was fully equalizing. Duda also seems to be unimpressed.
Yeah, this is incredibly risky, but it's kind of fitting considering the match situation. But yeah, like it's g4 normally is the reply here, or yeah, Duda even goes queen h4, hg, rook g2. He will be f5, f5, 4 f5 might just be made here. King h7 is showing very good awareness. At least you get to play rook h8 and bring some more pieces into the defense. But even that really doesn't guarantee survival. But yeah, without that, I think black was more or less doomed to the very simple plan of f4, f5. But now
d2, taking it slow. Queen g3, offering the endgame.
Offering the endgame. I'm surprised by queen e7 because now once again f4, f5 might be extremely strong. Because you might not just be in time to defend. Yeah, knight e4 we take, we go f5. There seems to be no defense against f6, right?
Should be f5 plate.
But yeah, bishop b5 is slower, gives Fabi some time to maybe reconsider. But he definitely shouldn't be taking pauses like this. Ideally, it was a difficult position to navigate, but like the taking a pause this long probably isn't.
Yeah, why allow black to do everything? Knight a5, bit of a decision. I guess you don't take, question mark. He does take, but no, it's hard to keep all the real estate.
Yeah, that's a really weird choice, because I think black is just kind of winning now, and I don't think this was really sort of forced by events at all. I don't like this. This may have been a bit of a bullety decision, so to speak. King h7. Yeah, black is fully in control here. The question is whether Fabi will be able to convert. Like queen takes d4 is like a long-term conversion. You would prefer to give mate somehow. Knight f4, rook f2 is a bit messy.
Knight 3, knight f4. He goes queen f4.
Yeah, then he should have
no
taken
hurry
d4.
whatsoever.
Yeah, he could have actually had the same endgame without the pawn on d4 on the board. So that was clearly a stronger option. But he is still much better here. Although the d pawn now starts running. Yeah, it's going to get tricky to win this actually.
He's bungled this, as a famous English chess commentator would say.
And maybe sort of unbungled it. Although, how do we get to the pawn on d6? Yeah, this is way too active.
Still bungled.
Yeah, he's now. You could even imagine black, if he's not careful, ending up in some trouble here, like king c5. I guess you can go knight d7 check, but yeah.
Trouble.
Yeah, you can definitely lose this position now. But yeah,
no, it's lost. The h pawn
probably has lost this position now. Yeah.
Wow, this is it. And he resigns from an almost winning endgame, a winning position, goes on to lose. Duda now up 3 points with 22 minutes remaining. That's what, 5 games max. This is huge.
Yeah, it feels like losing that absolutely drawn. Petrov may have really been very bad for morale there for Fabi, because
understandably.
And
of course, there is also maybe some truth to the theory that we also hinted at, that Fabi might not be playing as much 1-minute chess on the internet, some of the rivals here, that his reflexes could be slightly slower than Duda's in these endgames. But I agree with you that I think it's mainly momentum and tilt. If Fabi in good form probably would have converted that last one, no matter what the time.
Yeah, I think that first bullet game was a huge turnaround, because you just don't expect Fabi to ever lose an endgame like this. Regardless of time control or match situation or frankly anything. And you just end up feeling extremely silly when you do that. I've done plenty of that in my life, and it's just such a downer. You sit there and you think, how have I lost that position?
Maybe he has another chance here. This pawn feels weakish. The king comes over, so we'll get picked up now.
Yeah, but then the f2 pawn is very... okay, 95, 93 is maybe quite clever here. Although, yeah, you still have to go king c2, king b2, and then the f2 pawn will still be weak, and king f5, king e4 is an issue.
He doesn't want it. Goes king e2, f3 first.
No, but then black always has enough counterplay, I feel. Like it's just...
Yeah.
Once you start compromising your structure on the king side, you no longer really are playing for a win. And yeah, looks like, he might end up being in trouble in this one as well.
Might end up losing again, no? e4, knight c1, knight c1 directly.
It feels like this is going kind of badly off the rails. Maybe he still salvages a draw here, but yeah, he is no longer in the running to win this position at all. And down on the clock. Not by much, but still down on the clock. And you have to make move. Bishop c5 is just such a nasty move in this position, saying, please make a move. It feels like this probably is now...
just got crushed here, yeah. This is it.
Yeah.
Oof.
King e2. Knight c1, knight b3, you still have bishop takes b4, but you're worse even there.
But knight c1 does win 1 pawn. No, maybe that's better.
How king f2?
King d3, I thought. He puts the knight on a2.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I think voluntarily putting the knight back on a2, but I think he wants to push d4. I think that's his plan. He's preparing to push d4 and then give a check from g5, or maybe the immediate bishop g5 as well. Yeah, allowing d4 is no good. Yeah, Fabi is getting destroyed in a bullet. So we got something right.
Which is not a giant surprise, but yeah, I still blame momentum. And he lost these 4 games in a row earlier in the 5+1 when he had a comfortable lead. That's probably a place to look back to.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah, and he wins another one, and yeah, +4.
This is it.
Yeah, it's probably close to irrecoverable now, considering how
not
how
mathematically speaking, as we like to say, but in the real world, this is it.
Yeah, to all intents and purposes, this is a little bit too much. Fabi continues fighting, which is, of course, what you're supposed to do here. But yeah, unless he somehow wins like a couple very quickly and very decisively, I think this match is kind of you can see where it's going. I really hate calling things when they're still in progress, but yeah, you kind of yeah. Obviously, that's where my dislike for that stems from. my.
This is not Arizona.
No. He got a playable position in this game. Now that before knight b1 has gotten included, Black can probably be reasonably happy with the outcomes here. But yeah, maybe even that is not true. I don't know. Don't have enough instinctive feel for the King's Indian positions here to evaluate. Because why definitely achieved a lot of progress on the king side, but that knight on b1 is kind of sad. So yeah, I don't know if that compensates enough for what White has done on the king side. Sort of more relevantly, Jan-Krzysztof is quite comfortably ahead on the clock and seems to be reasonably in control of the proceedings. Yeah, you take on g7, and at some point you just play b3 and start slowly coming out of the corner. Yeah.
Here comes the knight.
Yeah, because the knight belongs on c5 or something. Because the knight belongs on c5.
Wow.
I'm never
have a show, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
No one puts horsey in a corner. Knight c3.
Yeah. How do you explain Nakamura's popularity on Twitch, asks Fege. Yeah, of an extremely strong player consistently streaming chess content. What is the surprise there? Like which part of his popularity is surprising to you, Fege? Like one of the best players in the world, consistently, streaming his tournaments and crushing people left, right, and center. I really don't understand the question there. This is not a draw.
Like Fabi's winning this.
Yeah, this is not a draw because there is no perpetual. I assume there is a mate on the king side somehow. On the queen side, I mean, yeah, on the queen side. But yeah, if no mate, then you still have to convert. But I guess that should be good enough. This is a bit messier than I expected. You can definitely imagine Black not winning this position. Whoa.
Would also be the story of this.
G7 probably wins
at least. If he loses this here, rook c8, it seems like he's losing.
He's losing this.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah, this is kind of painful because he played that game well. He recovered from, I think, quite an unpleasant opening, completely outplayed Duda in the middle game and then lost anyway.
Yep. Down 5, and probably this is even the end. mathematically.
This is close to the mathematically unchaseable lead by this point. Yeah, I don't know exactly how long one game of 1+1 takes. We could figure it out. They've played what, 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. They played 4 in 16 minutes. So yeah, about 4 minutes per game. He's probably just home and dry now. Could go AFK from here.
What are you saying? He could go away from the keyboard from here?
Pretty much, I think. Yeah, like I think if he no, then the games take 1 second. Yeah, that doesn't work. Yeah, that idea is not my.
Yeah. He has to make moves.
Yeah, but I don't like if the games last the normal amount of time per game, he is not obliged to score any more points. Probably.
All right. So yeah, it was a tough match, and Duda is now gonna win it by a serious score, but it was very closely contested nonetheless. Even these positions that Duda has all been winning now, he could have easily lost 2, 3, 4 of those. So yeah, been fun to watch. Peter, you just mentioned AFK. You clearly do speak the lingo, while I don't. I'm hosting a match tomorrow, or commentating on another match tomorrow morning, featuring a young, very popular Twitch and YouTuber, a 20-year-old lady, and I'm a bit worried about the vocabulary that I won't understand. Can you teach me stuff? Monka S, what does that mean?
That apparently means a feeling of heightened anxiety, it's not fear exactly, and it's not sadness exactly. I think like the dictionary says it's specifically the feeling of heightened anxiety about a result or.
So when would you say that was legit Monka S? After you won a close match, for example?
No, I think in the process of the match being close. I think after you've won it, it no longer really qualifies as Monka S.
Okay, Kappa.
Yeah, Kappa. I think we've done this during the Carlsen Karekin match, and
Kappa just means I was joking, right? Or
yeah, it like indicates that the previous sentence could be disregarded, wasn't serious.
Mm-hmm. What else do I need to know?
There is like.
Let me block this guy. I can only take that many insults. Done. What else do I need to know?
I think that interaction shows that you are now fully equipped for what's in front of you tomorrow. Is Fabi finally winning one? I think he's finally winning one. Good. It's good that he at least gets a bullet win under his belt. But yeah, it's not going to change the outcome.
Fabi, fighting text.
Still. Yeah, I think you'll do fine. I think your general role of maybe not so kindly uncle who pretends not to understand and says hello you fellow kids should suit you down to a T.
I'll bring my skateboard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you have some props, you could be like Carrot Top and do the prop thing. I don't know if there was a particularly what's the word, complimentary comparison, but I haven't seen Carrot Top in a while. What's Carrot Top doing these days?
I hope the same as always. Hilarious props comedy.
Yeah, that's exactly how
and working out.
Is he working out?
He was jacked at some point, but my Carrot Top knowledge is also probably 15 years old, so I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, and apparently chat agrees with you, saying that the answer to my question is taking steroids. Yeah, I was not aware of that. Apparently my knowledge of Carrot Tops really is limited to the fact that he is the only prop-based comic I know. Are there many more, actually? Is he genuinely the only one?
It's not a genre I'm very familiar with. People have these, I don't even know what that's called, these dolls that sit on their lap and they speak through them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that counts as props comedy.
What's that word? Ventriloquist, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Ventriloquist dummy.
Yeah. All of those things have been replaced by edgy, the zeitgeisty people who address the issues of the day in a funny yet incisive manner.
Duda tricked Mr. Caruana, or I'll play him, I don't know. F7 here will decide the game.
There's two more left, and I think he's back to +4. So now we can definitely say that there is not going to be enough time for Fabi to get back into this.
CP Counter has some more boomer questions. He wants to know what OP means. Original poster, I would guess.
Also overpowered, yeah, depending on context, but in the context of Twitch streaming, mainly overpowered, much more overpowered than original poster.
Ah, see, I didn't know that. PKMKP, that sounds like old chess notation somehow.
I have, that one I've never encountered, have no idea.
PKMKP.
Operation PowerPoint. Yeah, I don't think that's it, Nizaheh. You're trying to lead us astray with your fake newsery. Yeah, we've sort of stopped paying attention to what's happening on the board, but that's
no. The match is decided.
The match is decided.
They're going through the motions. Duda, yes, seems to be better here. Pawn up.
Yeah, just a pawn up here. Probably wins this one if he needs to. But yeah, and also somehow on 58 seconds. How is he? Like, this is move 31. How does he have 55 seconds here? That's just illegal. That should not be allowed. I would like to lodge a complaint.
You have 6. Nice little touch. Rookie 5 G5. Now also G5 F4. Looks pretty good.
This is
Fabi.
Fabi has seen enough. Frankly, he's had
enough. He just has to end this match.
Yeah. I think if resigning was available, he would have just resigned here. But you are supposed to play it out, so there will be more games. But yeah, he is clearly not really very excited about having to continue when there's not enough time to do anything.
Yeah, this format is not number of games played; it's just time. And there are 5 minutes 38 seconds left. Able 1656 is wondering why, if I watch European basketball. I do not.
I know some people who do, but because they've inherited an allegiance to a club, and that's like I know some CSKA supporters who actually go to games and
I went once with our friend Dibis to a Real Madrid game. That was actually very nice. Luka Doncic was still playing there, and in general, I'm not sure about the current power rankings, but that's probably the highest level of European basketball you can watch. That was great. In Germany, we don't have that kind of level, I think, so I've never gone to a match here. A game, I should say.
Yeah. I think that pause before Fabi played knight c4 there was him like seriously considering if resigning does anything for him at all. And then he realized he will still have to play more games. It's it's slightly sad to watch the conclusions of these matches when one player just gets so far ahead in the bullet that there's no way back. But
yeah, also clearly Fabi just wants this to be over with, which is very understandable.
Yeah, it's not unreasonable at all. Like he was still fighting in the bullet when he had a mathematical chance. No aspersions of his spirit on his spirit are being made here. But yeah, now it's just an exercise in futility, and not much you can say about any of this. Rook c6, rook c6, knight f5, but then queen e6, queen e3. I don't know. Like white is close to winning, maybe winning by force somehow. Depends on, like if this still mattered, you could discuss how to proceed cleanly, but
yeah, not important. Just keep making moves or run down the clock, then make a move. So time expires. 15-9 is not a particularly small margin. And frankly, this match was closer than very much.
I think it could have been quite close. Even watching this bullet, I think there's no real gulf in the bullet. It's just that the first
as we said, though, that when they're both down to, let's say, 10 seconds, even when Fabi started with a great position, Duda's reflexes were better, and he turned.
Yeah, that's true. But still, like to have the first game of bullet be what actually was the first game of bullet is just like the pain is just too much. Losing that position, and he wasn't even short on time when that endgame appeared on the board. It's just, for somebody like Fabi, who is a very, very good technical player, he just feels so disgusted with himself when he loses that with white.
Yeah. Last game, Fabi. Hang in there.
And apparently there was a very funny interaction with the pre-moves in this game, like early on. Because this doesn't really matter, we could show it to people because we haven't really addressed it. Like very early in the opening in this one, yeah. Look at moves like from 9 to 11.
Bishop c3, bishop d2 was pre-moved in knight c5. Ouch. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. I mean, if
I'm surprised actually. I mean, yeah, this is a normal pre-move to make, I guess, but usually you don't pre-move in a 1+1 game, no? At least not this.
Yeah, at least not in a situation like this where it can really bite you in the behind. You only pre-move things which will be illegal against any other move, basically, I think. So yeah, and now we're discussing like Fabi moved from h4, which actually served him quite well, to rook g1 on move 6, and yeah, not the greatest position ever, and also not the most relevant position he will ever play. It will be interesting to see how Duda does against Wesley, because I think Wesley, in a kind of a sneaky fashion, has become extremely good at this particular.
He's amazing at this, yeah, and he's so well prepared, doesn't make mistakes, plays his style. I think he's a favorite against Duda. Like, not a big one. Duda, obviously, is one of the very best blitz players in the world, but I'd pick Wesley.
Yeah, I think so, but it's going to be interesting, and they have a history of very interesting, very close encounters. I still remember that. Obviously a completely different genre, but they played this unbelievably interesting match in Moscow. First stage of the Grand Prix, where Jan-Krzysztof just absolutely destroyed Wesley in the Petrov, like won a game in like 25 moves, and then needing a draw with black, played the Dragon, and lost a very, very exciting fighting Dragon, and then I think ended up losing the rapid playoffs. So they have some history against each other. I think they bring out some of their best qualities in each other. So should be a very nice watch.
The Rolex of chess matches.
Exactly. Yeah, I deserve that.
Wasn't meant as an insult.
Yeah, knight h4, nice recognition there by Fabi, because knight d6 was kind of threatening close to mate, but yeah.
Duda's going to win another one. The final score will look bigger than this match. Deserved an outcome.
Probably, yeah. It's not altogether a foregone, but probably does win this one as well. Yeah.
Bye, Faggy. Thanks for sticking around, for watching us over more popular streamers. Is this a donation, Peter? I still don't speak Twitch after all these years.
That's not entirely a donation. That's somebody donating. Whoa, nice.
Checkmate.
He actually set that up by playing Rook D5. That wasn't a fluke. He played Rook D8, D5 there, creating that threat. In a 1 minute game, you have to say this is pretty good.
It's very, very nice construction. Looks like the final position of some study or problem. Good stuff by Duda. And we're done, right? Or the match is over at the very
I think
least.
we are done. And,
congrats to Jan-Krzysztof Duda.
In the end, we did get that part correct, because we kept on saying that if it's close going into the bullet, Duda should be considered a favorite, and this has been borne out by events.
Very much so. Let's look at the tournament tree. We know that Duda is now facing Wesley So, Nakamura, Fedoseev. Fedoseev might not be as well known as some of the other names, but he's not a pushover, especially in very short time.
Oh, not at all. No, he is. I think he's been in fantastic form recently, and I think I don't. That actually is incredibly relevant, because either yesterday or maybe the day before yesterday, Hikaru played Fedoseev in a long kind of a friendly match on his stream, and like 12 or 13 games in, Fedoseev was actually leading. I don't know how it ended, but it was very, very close for a very long time. Not like close after 2 games, was continued being close, and maybe even in Fedoseev's favor after 10 plus games. So if Fedoseev brings his A game, this should be an incredibly exciting quarterfinal.
Yeah, looking forward to that, of course, to the Magnus Carlsen versus Anish Giri or Artemiev. I believe that is tomorrow, the Giri-Artemiev match. I won't make it tomorrow, but I'm sure there will be great chess commentators to take you through that match as well. I believe that's it from us. Thank you so much, Peter. It's been a great pleasure again to spend this Sunday afternoon with you. And thanks to everybody.
Yeah, it has been fun, and thanks for everybody for sticking around. And this is a very nice event to cover. I have to say, there's a lot of action. The field is very exciting to watch, and it only gets better with the further you go, because we're going to see some really, really impressive matchups starting from last date.
There's a question from the chat. Are you streaming today? Are you going to fire up your old Twitch now?
Probably not. It's a bit too late for me to stream. I'll probably go do old people things, specifically sleep.
Yeah, that is my plan as well. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.
Cheerio.
Special bundles with premium membership from Chess24. Super discounts on merchandise. Massive sales on courses from Chessable. Chessable and Chess24 bundles. With new deals appearing every day. Visit chess24.com/deals.
E5, it's E5 Patzers.
A complete repertoire against 1 E4 based on 1 E5, now available to study with Chessable's unique Move Trainer technology. The backbone is the Marshall Gambit against the Spanish, with 3 Knight F6 against the Italian. Jan Gustafsson has revisited all these lines he has played for 20 years and worked on as a second for Peter Lecco and Magnus Carlsen, amongst others, with the help of the most powerful engines out there, Leela 0 and Stockfish 10. This has led to many new discoveries and a repertoire ready to master on Chessable that can serve the student for a long chess career.
Maybe E4 doesn't exist after all.
E5. It's E5 Patzers.
And queen takes f3. Oh, what is going on? Oh, this is going to be a fortress. I just don't see any hopes at all. This is very easy. Just rook back and forth.
Taking chess to the next level.
Wow. Wow.
Wow, yeah, nothing else to say, wow.
Creating the future of the sport. Introducing the Champions Chess Tour. 10 months, 10 tournaments. The world's best players online and on TV.
Well, we wanted to do a historical top 50 of chess players of sort of all time, and to do that, we are using the statistics by Jeff Sonax, who has created a site called Chess Metrics. We've gotten some help from Frank Hofmeister, who is a well-renowned chess historian, but then we have still kind of added our own touch. And it's always going to be subjective, and there's no correct answer.
I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you agree with every single ranking, because usually when you publish lists, what could go wrong? Who would disagree with anything? But yeah, it's been fun, and I hope you like it.
It's time to take control of your journey towards chess mastery. Magnus Carlsen introduces Chessable, the definitive solution for studying chess. Move Trainer uses the science of spaced repetition to identify your strengths and eliminate your weaknesses. There's no need to set up a board, remember which page you're on, or keep track of all the moves you miss. Move Trainer empowers you to go from the opening to the end game with confidence. It's a seamless, effective, and fun way to study chess. Choose from one of the largest online chess libraries in the world, with hundreds of titles ranging from classic books through to our exclusive Chessable courses, including over 100 free courses. Get expert insights from International Master John Bartholomew, Grandmaster Sam Shankland, International Master Krzysztof Sulecki, Grandmaster Simon Williams, World Champion Magnus Carlsen, and hundreds of other instructors. Get started now and join our growing community of over 100,000 chess enthusiasts at chessable.com. Chessable, take control of your journey towards chess mastery.